Would you like to go to the greatest apologetics conference this country has ever seen?
Have you ever thought about how to share the gospel with culture?
Have you ever wanted to see Islam and Christianity battle intellectually in groundbreaking debates?
Have you ever wondered why Islam is growing so much here in the USA?
Have you ever wondered how anyone lives their life not knowing that the perfect eternal word of God become a man, not just to speak the truth, but to die for them?
Have you ever wanted to know how to move conversations about identity over to the gospel?
How can a sinner be right before a holy God?
Have you ever wondered what God thinks about women?
Have you ever wanted to seek and share truth together better than ever before with like-minded and uniquely gifted brothers and sisters?
Did you realize that Muhammad is actually in the Bible? But it's not what you may think.
Have you heard of the infamous satanic verses? Would you like to hear more? A lot more?
Have you ever wondered why, according to the Quran, Allah is Satan and Jesus is God?
Would you like to understand ways in which you can better convey the sanctity of human life?
Have you ever wondered about why so many people are being attracted to Hebrew Israelism?
Would you like to know why Dawah is crumbling?
Have you ever wanted to hear me sing? Probably not.
Have you ever wanted help do a ministry on YouTube more effectively?
Would you like to master the Islamic dilemma?
Have you ever wanted to see Daniel Hakikachu and David Wood face off as Daniel tries to debunk the Islamic dilemma?
Did you know that the Islamic model of God is not able to explain miracles, but the Trinity not only can, but is the only model of God that does it perfectly?
At this conference, you'll learn how to identify a cult, how to give proper biblical responses, and hopefully win them for Christ by preaching to them the true gospel of Jesus Christ according to biblical revelation. We will also be dealing with atheism and agnosticism and other philosophical worldviews that are in opposition to the biblical faith, which is Christianity.
Whether you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, or none of the above, if you'd like to learn more, we'd love to have you join us at this year's free Seek and Share Truth Conference in Ohio and online. If you'd like to support our missions, attending our free conference, outreaches, and/or debates, praying for us, donating to help us cover our speakers' costs, and inviting others to come and do the same helps so much. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website and RSVP for free today. And if you have any questions, know I'm here to help. We hope to see you there. And either way, thank you so much for your consideration. And may God bless you with his guidance always.
Well, I, for one, am excited about the upcoming Seek and Share Truth Conference. Guys, if you are interested, make sure to sign up. There's also a free option for those of you, well, I mean, the entire thing's free, but there's an online option for those of you who just want to be able to listen online without being able to be there in person. So today I have two guests. One is running a little late, so he'll be joining us later on. That would be Thaddeus from Raising Answers. He'll join us when he can. But let's go ahead and welcome up Mary. Welcome, Mary.
Hello, hello, hello.
Do you want to give a short introduction to the chat?
Well, I usually stream with Thaddeus of Reason Answers, and he's late for me too, so we get to bash him while he's not here. And I engage mainly with Islam, but I also talk about Christian theology and other false religions besides Islam.
Well, to be fair to Thaddeus, I was running a little late, so I gotta give him
who
some
has to be
grace.
fair?
Okay, I'm going
We're here
to
to defend himself.
He's not. He can't. He's not here. He can't defend himself.
Exactly. He can't defend himself.
So now you're just going to poke fun at him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this one is a bit of an interesting one. Ali Dawah has been doing a lot of street dawah, and he's been streaming it. And I think there's some interesting things that we can point out here that he seems to be a little, what's the word for? Oh, hypocritical on. Depending on his audience, he changes the message. Including this one here, which is talking about a lovely lady disrupted by a bigoted man / runs off. So we'll look at some of the statements this quote-unquote bigoted man has and see if these are things that Ali Dawah actually says himself or not. So I thought it was rather interesting when I saw it.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious what Ali Dawah always does. He gets super offended when people say things that he actually believes when they say it in a scornful way, and he'll declare that it's not true, even though they're absolutely saying what they believe. Like he screamed at someone who, as someone walked by, he's like, "You're the guy who supports child marriage," and he starts screaming at the person. But it's completely accurate. He absolutely supports child marriage. He's all for child marriage. He thinks it's great, but he's going to scream about it if someone says it in a negative way.
Yeah, absolutely. So if he says that, then, if it's not something that'll make him look good at the time, he definitely wants to change his story. So we'll see that, definitely with his very public statements previously. So, but since I've delayed enough, let's go ahead and pull on up the video here. We'll take a look at the first couple of minutes and see if there's any insights.
You're not welcome.
Why don't we talk about it?
With your misogyny, with your violence.
What violence?
With what you do.
What violence?
You can't leave Islam.
And
the
what
Quran.
What happened to Edward Snowden? What happened to Edward Snowden?
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
I'm sorry, Master. I'm sorry, Master. I'm listening. I'm sorry, Master.
You're the ones who are actually exercising modern day slavery.
So that was his introduction.
So he filmed himself being incredibly rude and randomly talking about Snowden, who put classified information.
Did you know that you can have permanent teeth in just 24 hours?
Whoops.
Go ahead.
So the equivalent to killing anyone who leaves Islam is getting in legal trouble if you publish state secrets. That's what he said that's equivalent to.
So
Can you leave America? Can you leave America? Well, see, that's the thing. He wants to be their master. He's projecting massive.
He's trying to use.
He's trying to
since he's a white guy, he's trying to say, see, this white guy is being racist to this brown man. He's playing the race card, as well as trying to imply that he's talking down to him. He's treating him like a slave. Oh, man.
Screaming over him. If he were actually had any kind of respect for him, he would scream over him like that. But yes, he is Dobby. Ali Dawah.
Dobby.
Nice. Ali Dawah. There we go. We're done. Perfect. So Ali Dawah there with his squeaky little voice. Yeah, he's just is completely despicable. Because he doesn't even talk about religion. He's talking about a country. Can you leave the United States and get citizenship in another country? Yes. Would you get in trouble for that in any way? No. Like, for changing your citizenship? No. Can you give up your American citizenship once you have citizenship in another country? You're not allowed to be stateless. Yes. Nobody's going to let you be stateless. That causes all kinds of problems for everyone, so you don't get to be stateless. But if you get another identification, you can do that. No problem. But he's running to the example of someone who publishes officially secret documents and gets in legal trouble as the equivalent of someone who just leaves Islam being slaughtered by Muslims.
Well, let's see what he has to say actually on this one specifically. So he starts off talking to this woman, and we'll see how he is appealing to her, or at least trying to appeal to her.
In a sexual manner. So Islam has taught me to treat women as a human being, not as a sexual object. So the Western world has done the opposite with the pornography.
Well, that didn't take very long. I started this off and I was like, oh, Mary's going to have a heyday with this.
So Islam only sees women as sexual objects. Right there, she is a sexual object, and Muslims are such perverted, demented, evil creatures that Ali has to blur everything below her neck, because otherwise they would be consumed with lust, and in their private spaces they would be immediately pleasuring themselves. That's why you need to cover her up. Why? Because women are only sexual objects. Their entire body is indecent. It's obscene. It's a private area. Her wrist is a private area. Her neck is a private area. Her ears are private areas that are so obscene that men cannot control themselves with a glimpse of it. So she must take responsibility for the lusts and corruption and degeneracy of the Muslim men, and must swathe herself in so much fabric that they no longer immediately think of sex every time they look at her. Because if they see her like that, they can't think of anything but sex, 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 sex. It's like someone walking around in a G-string and pasties. That is the equivalent of a woman wearing a shirt in public.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Mary's not like speaking out of nowhere, because that comes straight from right here, Reliance of Traveler. So this is Islamic law, Sharia, right here. 2.3 started it, and it goes through the entire section here, talking about how unlawful it is for women to tempt men by leaving the house uncovered in any way, shape, or form. And there are definitions saying, oh, you can look this way, men can look at men in this sort of way, but women can't look at women in that way, or men can't look at women that way. There's a long list of do's and don'ts. And Mary just summed it all up. They guys don't have to go through and just read. But
and
she summed up
the
this
word
entire
for
section.
your private parts, for those parts of you that are indecent to expose publicly, is aura. And a woman's indecent private parts is everything but her hands, as much as are necessary for her to do her whatever function she must do outside the house if she's unable to be entirely locked up, because locking her up entirely is preferable. Her face, or at least her eyes as much as she needs to see with. So it depends on who's ruling. Muhammad's wives could only show as much as one eye so that they could get around. They could not show the rest enough of any more of their faces than that. And Aisha was so wrapped up for so long that whenever she had to put on the religious clothing for their Hajj, that clothing, for some random reason, does not include a face veil. And she felt naked and embarrassed by it, as if she'd been stripped naked, because she had been so covered up for so long, that she was trained to think of her own face as this indecent thing that she should be humiliated at to have uncovered. And those are the parts of a woman that are not the private parts, that are not so associated with lust that they can be shown. A man's aura is from his navel to his knees, and that's it.
Uh-huh. And that is stated in that section, actually.
Well, you can't have a male visitor at all unless you have a person who's with you, like who isn't a relative. You're not allowed to have them. But of course, what women actually did in Islamic lands is they used this as a way to see as many lovers as they wanted. If you have a completely circumscribed life and your entire society is completely perverted, women spent most of their time in scheming about how to get lovers and getting the lovers. And because they covered their faces when they went out, nobody knew, you could have a lover and he could see everything and he had no idea who you were. What you do is you would make appointments through messengers and through third parties to meet someone at a certain place. In your own house, sometimes you do it. And if he was not a huge man, he'd just dress up as a woman and come in and just have intercourse with you. That's
Never know the difference.
Yeah, that's why Islamic law has all of these rules that allow you to be, quote unquote, pregnant for 2 years, 4 years. There are instances where they say, 8 years. 8 years since this woman last had her husband in the same city as her. She had a baby, and she's a very respectable woman. Her reputation is stellar. Therefore, she was clearly pregnant for 8 years. And of course, the Muslim scholars say that some groups of women from some families are more likely to be pregnant for years and years and years. And a group that is very well known for being pregnant for years and years and years is the Hashemites, Muhammad's own family. They had many women who were pregnant for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, aka all their wives slept around.
So what Mary was talking about it can be found in Reliance of the Traveler. The PDF page is 531. Reference number is M2.8. We're looking at section 3 right here, talking about a man may not look at man may look at the whole body of another man except for what is between the navel and the knees. This is what Mary was talking about right here.
Well, there is one time that men can look at women they aren't related to their entire bodies when they're looking at marriage. Buy them, when they want to purchase them, whether or not it's a slave or it's a wife. He can inspect her entire body because he needs to know what property he's buying.
And that is stated later on. I don't have that section saved, but it is stated later on in the section as well. But yeah, a man can look at a woman's full nakedness if he's looking at buying her. So, flip back to the video. Again, not very respectful in my opinion. And welcome.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Slowpoke.
So, Thaddeus, since you're
cooperating.
Oh, it's StreamYard's fault. It has been a royal... FYI, guys, it's been a royal pain in the rear end. They've got some glitchiness going on with newer browsers. I get the warning every time I come into StreamYard now, saying that, we know this is an issue and we're working on it. Eventually, they'll get this working right. So, yeah, StreamYard's been a pain. So, Thaddeus, would you mind introducing yourself to the audience, letting them know who you are, since you're joining at this point?
Hello, everyone. Thaddeus, Channel's Reasoned Answers. I talk about Islam and its relationship to Christianity and how people like Ali Dawah are disgusting deceivers and how Christianity is the truth. So, that's me.
Okay, so far we have got all of 1 minute and 30 seconds into this video, and most of that was me skipping Ali Dawah's commercial. So that's how this video is going. So this is Ali Dawah on the street with a woman who he's talking to. He has declared that Islam has made him be respectful to women. As we now look at the video, and we obviously see that he has blurred most of the women around.
Thaddeus, your volume's low. It was low for me too, so in this correct.
Okay, I will take a look at that. But it's weird. He's not blurring her face, which in theory, he should.
Certainly her ears he ought to blur, and her neck. Yeah. I think he's just not any good at managing his material.
I don't know what the point is. Like he'll blur and then he'll unblur and then he'll blur again. Like if he doesn't want to show the people walking by, then just have that half of the screen always blurred. It's not like we have to see who you're talking to exactly.
But my point was that he's blurring her out not because he doesn't think of her as sexual, but because he cannot look at a woman without lust. He is physically incapable of seeing a woman in a shirt without lust, and he assumes that is true of all Muslims because that's what the Quran basically teaches. That's what Islamic teaching is, that men are incapable of seeing as much of a woman as shows in a t-shirt without thinking lustful thoughts, being consumed with desire.
Yeah, it could be. In the video you and I watched yesterday, he was blurring out the side of a woman's arm. So, I mean, who knows?
He's really obsessed with arms.
Oh boy. So that's where we're at. We're going to go ahead and list this. This is supposed to be, eventually there's a bigoted man who comes up and interrupts this lovely woman, a lovely lady, according to Ali Dawah.
Mm-hmm.
With having chocolate bars and a half-naked woman next to you. I don't know what the chocolate bars got to do with a woman. Yep. So because sex sells, they have used that and they've...
Okay, he blurred out his subscribe and like thing, or whatever that was. I'm sorry, I have to point that out because that is post, and you could have easily have, granted, if this is live, then and he just has that flip up live, but this is afterwards. He's already edited it. And you can see this is all blurred out. Sorry.
The genius, or the genius doesn't apply the blur to the footage. He applies it to everything, apparently. Maybe he doesn't know how to only blur one layer. I don't know.
Sorry, just pointing that out because we're talking about how he seems to be blur happy in selected regions and leaving entire regions unselected. This would show me that he doesn't know how to blur correctly. So
woman next to you. I don't know what the chocolate bars got to do with a woman. Yep. So because sex sells, they have used that and they've dehumanized women, and that's come at the cost of their mental well-being being affected. So I think in Islam they find liberty, they find freedom, true freedom, and I think that's why we have a lot of women who accept Islam.
Except if you don't wear the required garments and you go out into public without a male escort under Sharia and uncovered, you will disappear.
Well, under Sharia, you should be punished. In the real world, you'll just be raped to death and your body will be found sometime. Like, that's what will happen. Is women don't have freedom. Women are locked up. Their sexuality, because their entire being is sexual. All they are is sex. Sex, 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 sex. So they are imprisoned to keep their sex from infecting the men. That's the
and
trick.
if you look at Reliance of the Traveler, again, referring back to it, because again, that's the ruling of the Muslim scholars. This is what he say. This is what Ali Dawah says should be everywhere. Everyone should follow this. According to M10.11 in the PDF, this is page 55.8. It talks about how women are not allowed to leave the house. They have to stay in the house. They are not permitted to leave.
Correct.
The section right before that talks about...
Mm-hmm. You can only leave the house if it is necessary because you, like your family, physically can't. Like you have to milk the sheep and there's no one else to do it. Then you can go out for necessary things. Otherwise, if it is capable for you to... modern world, get delivery. There are very few reasons for you to ever leave the house for a legitimate reason. Otherwise, you are to be locked up your entire life. That's why Muhammad calls women the prisoners with the men. They are prisoners with you. Women are your prisoners. Why? Because they spend all their time locked up. By default, there are lists and these Sharia manuals of reasons, legitimate reasons for women to leave the house. Like, a woman should be permitted to visit her parents once X number of weeks. She can be permitted, and that would be legitimate. Visiting friends is not a legitimate reason to leave the house, ever. You are never to visit friends. According to traditional Islam, you should never leave the house and visit a friend. There are certain family functions that you go to, and you can go to the mosque after dark is preferred. They don't want you to go to mosque during the day because then, even covered up, men might get ideas. So if it's really dark outside and men can't see you, it's better for you to go to the mosque then. And the only reason they're not locked up, it's better for them to pray at home. The only reason you're not locked up even then is because Muhammad allowed it, so nobody else can really forbid it, but it's still better for them to pray at home.
So, got a quick question. Is Ali Dawah lowering his gaze? No.
Not in the
He's
least.
looking directly at the woman. He's not lowering anything, man. I don't know if he's thinking about another secret wife here, but he ain't lowering anything.
The reverts, if he can get her to revert, reverts take it the best. We all know this.
Yep, they all get to be the Muta wives, his Muta hotel girls. That's why he wants reverts, because they can be brainwashed and flattered into things and made to feel special. And then around the time they realize that it's all a sham, the man who's exploiting her was probably getting tired of her anyway.
I have a question here. I wonder if his wife at home is watching. I don't know if he allows her, because that would be very dangerous for him. I think they're very controlling on what their wives see.
And I think that's the main factor as well. And there's books written on it, on this matter. It's called there's a book called Beauty Sick. So it talks about the sickness of beauty.
I want to know what those books are. I want to know what those books are that tell you. Well, he says there's books written on how chocolate bar ads are leading to mental decline in the world, mental problems in the world.
He's claiming that Beauty Sick does.
That advertising for chocolate bars that's too sexy is causing people to have mental problems.
Well, if society takes two of an Islamic view of women, that they are sexual objects, because that's all you are in Islam. You are an object to be purchased for sex. That's it. There you go. That's the woman's job, sex, breeding. She gets compensated for breeding. She gets compensated for sex, because that's all she is. When other societies start treating women as the objects they are in Islam, then it causes problems. Okay, I'd agree with that.
Specifically, starving themselves to have the perfect body. And what is the perfect body? Yeah.
She's very skinny. And
yeah, exactly.
She's fat.
Well,
yes,
exactly.
Because right now, you know what we have? We have problems with women being too thin in this world. That's the problem in the West. All these thin women. It is true that in Islamic countries, women are even fatter than we are in the West. But it is not a problem. Women are not suffering terribly and starving for beauty. We're just eating too much. And most of the dysregulated eating has to do with overconsumption combined with other things. Anorexia has always been mythical in terms of its supposed frequency. It has never been anything common at all. It's always been incredibly rare. Incredibly rare. But it's kind of glamorous.
Actual anorexia exists even in societies that value, large women. So
yes,
it's actually a mental condition that's independent of societal pressures.
Well, it tends to develop in people who have careers in which extreme amounts of restriction are required, so that does feed into it in those particular careers. But in the wider population, it has nothing to do with beauty standards. Nobody's going, oh, I see a magazine and now I'm going to do this weird control thing because of this magazine picture I saw. That just does not happen. It doesn't happen. And it is true that anorexia is one of those socially transmitted diseases. As basically any country that doesn't know about the existence of anorexia has no anorexics. It doesn't exist as a concept. Same thing with
it might not exist as a diagnosis, but I've definitely seen studies.
It does not exist.
Mary, I've definitely seen studies that studied cultures where people, that being skinny would be undesirable. And there are still people who have the mental image of their body being skinny when it's not. Or being fatter than it is.
Yes, that exists where they know of anorexia. It doesn't have to be desirable. Nobody thinks that an anorexic body is lovely.
Anorexic does, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, that kind of
not really, because they have a delusional idea of what they look like. But it's like the penis falling off disease. So, in Eastern Asian cultures,
Mary. Either way, the result, the solution, according to Ali Dawah, is to put a bag over it.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. Put a tarp on.
That will work, but
just cover up on a tarp. You'd never know.
It's absolutely delusional to think that this is a beauty standards linked disease. It just isn't. It's about control and manipulation and a certain type of romanticism with control and manipulation of oneself and others.
Because if he was all this empowering stuff, then why isn't his wife allowed to speak on his live streams?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they able to just have a conversation with her? I mean, his secret Muta wife over there was allowed to speak on his live stream, right? But his wife doesn't even get that much respect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my!
Well, he doesn't want any other men. He doesn't want any other men desiring her. Right? He doesn't have any problem if people desire this woman here because she's just a kafir. But
why does he fuzz her out? So it seems that there's a hypocritical stance.
Right. Well, it's a fake sense of modesty, right? He thinks that he's supposed to do that, so he does. But he's not fuzzing out her hair, right, which he's supposed to, in theory. And if he was really concerned about her being erotic or whatever, he'd just fuzz the whole thing and maybe distort her voice as well. So he's just demonstrating what Islam typically believes, that it's a set of rules that exist, and you follow those rules, and you don't care whether they make any sense or not. You just follow the rules.
Yep, that's what it comes down to. And he's got to make it look, even if he's not, even in his private life, if he's not really following in his private life, he needs to publicly show it. Because he's not lowering his gaze, like we've already pointed out. So it's obvious that he's not actually following what he's supposed to be doing. If it's on the men to do it, he's not doing that.
Yeah, he should be like looking at his books or whatever on his table there.
Which I do admit would be very hard to have Dawah be effective in the West if the Dawah guys aren't even able to talk effectively to women. And I've got to say, well, I can't even look at you. You see, that's how much we actually respect women, which is what they would try to then say. So, I mean, with the handshaking, that's what they claim with the handshaking. Not that it might turn me on way too much.
By the way, I doubt he'd be having this same conversation if he was talking to a very skinny woman. I mean, I'm not criticizing this woman in any way. I'm just pointing out that she is not extremely skinny. And if he was, he probably wouldn't be saying the same thing, right? He wouldn't be like, well, society makes you be skinny, but in Islam, you're free not to be skinny. It's Dawah. You tell people whatever you think they will believe. And he's made a snap judgment based on the way she looks and is saying, okay, this is what will work with her. Is saying in Islam, we don't have this concept of being really skinny and all the societal pressure to look a certain way. And he's doing that because he thinks that this woman would be considered unattractive. I'm not saying she is. I'm saying Ali Dawah would say that.
Yes. So that's, again, we're seeing him just shape the message live, shape the message to whomever is there. So if like Thaddeus is pointing out, if it was someone else, it might look different. Oh, he'd shape it differently in order to appeal to them. So let's keep going here, and I think you'll see this as it progresses.
Those pressures. In the book, I was reading it. It's by she's a non-Muslim woman. She was talking about how girls they have so much pressure on them. They were saying, I wish I did not have to think about how I look, so I can spend more quality time with my friends and my family. So just be yourself. But you can't, because you've got so many standards. You've got your friends. You've got peer pressure. So what the hijab does? The hijab is a symbol to distinguish.
Hold on a second. So he's saying there's all these pressure on women to conform to certain standards. I agree. I mean, there's pressure on boys to conform to certain standards too. But is there not a huge amount of standards that girls are supposed to conform to in Islamic world? They're not the same standards, but there's standards that girls are supposed to conform to, and there's much more pressure on them to conform in an Islamic society.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. And if they don't, there's legal repercussions. So it's legally enforced standards that they have to meet. And that's a lot of pressure.
And they are crushing standards. They are absolutely smothering standards that people have to meet. And Islamic culture. There's never been any other. There's one pattern for non-slave women in Islamic cultures, and that's it.
So, yep, he's trying to spin it as hard as he can to make Islam sound appealing to the woman, so then she will try. He's trying to get her to convert to it, and if she does, she'll find out the truth eventually.
Also, at the same time, when I'm speaking to an individual, I'm speaking to them rather than speaking to something else. And as men, we are,
Not distracted by
yes, that's how we're created. So as men, we have that innate desire towards a woman. So what God Almighty does is that's what He tells us.
Desires. Come on, buddy. What bullshit? Oh, us men, we're attracted to women, but women, they're just not attracted to anyone. They got it so easy.
Women are held responsible for men's lusts in Islam. Uniquely responsible, more than any other religion and more than any other culture that exists in a civilized society where there's like reading and writing. So if it exists in civilization, of all civilizations in the history of the world, as far as I know, Islam is the one that holds women the most responsible for men's lust and the men least responsible. In Islam, men are filthy, dirty lust animals who will mate with anything that doesn't run away fast enough if they have a momentary lustful feeling. That's enough. That's enough. They will do, yes. You ask the people who were in Desert Storm, what's going on in villages at night? People who were in Afghanistan. What do they see when they put on their night vision goggles? The men are running around there having intercourse with boys and animals out in the fields.
And what she's saying comes straight from, again, Sharia itself. This is for you guys' reference. I have it right here. This is not translated, but this is part of it is talking about what is permissible. You have sex with animals, absolutely allowed, because those are what your right hands possess. Family relatives that you have your right hands possess. Dead bodies. You can have sex with dead bodies. It's all right here. Usama Doc does a great translation of this and lays it straight out there. But that is, for you guys want to check it out, that is 012.3. And Islam just keeps getting worse as you dig more and more. So that would be where that one is. Now, to also go on this, an aspect of this is the concept of honor. And if you dishonor your family, your parents have the right to kill you at any given time. In fact, this is found in Justice 01.2. The following are not subject to retaliation. The one that's not subject, part 4 here that we're focusing on in this case, would be a father or mother or their father or mothers for killing their offspring or their offspring's offspring. So you're legally allowed to kill your kin, your children. You're legally allowed to. There's no repercussion. And grandchildren, yeah.
Yep.
So if they were to do something that you would feel is disrespectful to you, you have shamed the family, you can kill them. And there's no retaliation. And that is what Ali Dawah is promoting. Again, it's good to keep these in context. Be like, this is what he's actually, behind the scenes, this is what he's actually saying is true.
Tell the believing men to lower your gaze. So firstly, it teaches men.
Why aren't you lowering your gaze then?
Are you a believing man?
You're looking right at her.
He's looking directly at her. He's supposed to lower his gaze if she's not dressed properly. And according to Islam, she's not dressed properly. So you're supposed to lower your gaze. Now, again,
so
there's not repercussions for you, man.
He's looking
but for her,
directly at her. Looking directly at her, saying, believing men are supposed to lower their gaze. That's why I'm looking at you in the face.
Exactly. There's just not grasping the hypocrisy that he's spewing out right there. And I don't think she is either. I don't think she's realizing it either. But she's probably not educated in it. She's probably not versed in what Islam is. She's probably someone who's just, there's a newbie. And he's taking advantage of that.
How to behave towards women. So there is no like, oh, men can't control themselves, so you have to cover up. That's a big misconception. That's not true.
That is what Sharia says.
You literally said it. Well, forget Sharia. That's literally what he said. He said us men are lustful, right? Us men are just naturally attracted to women. Well, guess what, buddy? Women are attracted to men. But for some reason, that doesn't matter, right? There's no, you have to cover up as a man. Hijab takes his shirt off because he thinks he's being sexy. And that's perfectly allowed.
Earns
I mean,
himself the
he's
title,
actually being
part-time
disgusting because, you know, he's kind of chubby, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, he's not. It is on the women because that's where the punishment goes. It's not on the men. The men aren't the one responsible for their lust, for their desires. If they were to take a woman who was not properly dressed and rape her, that's perfectly fine.
Oh, it's perfectly
It's
fine
the
if she
woman's
is
fault.
properly dressed. What are you talking about? But you have to have the 4 witnesses.
That is true.
She's out. She's vulnerable. She's at fault by default. Yes, they go, oh, they'll terribly punish the man. Yeah, if you have 4 witnesses. But you're not going to have 4 witnesses.
I mean, so
It's
in
not
fairness,
possible.
Mary, it's technically wrong. You just won't be punished for it.
Yep.
Unless she's not covered, then it's not even wrong.
Right, well, it's
Because you-
technically wrong, but this zina was written for you before you were born by Allah, and so it's really Allah was the one who wanted you to do it, because you wouldn't
And
have
if
felt lust, and you wouldn't have had
And
this
if there's not
opportunity.
witnesses,
And there are no
and if there's-
witnesses, so
then
Allah didn't
Allah
want you to be
concealed it.
punished. He
Allah concealed it.
Mhm.
It's His mercy that you won't be punished. Meanwhile, the poor
And if
woman
you-
has to live with it for the rest of her life, assuming she wasn't also murdered.
And if you claim that there's anything outside, independent of the will of Allah, including the act thereof, if you say that that wasn't Allah's will, that's outside the will of Allah, that's an act of apostasy, according to Sharia. So everything has to be Allah's will. He wills everything to happen. It's His design that that woman was raped. It's His design. According to Islam. Now, that's not Christian teachings. That's the Islamic teachings. Just being clear on that one.
In Islam, a man is told on a micro level to a macro level how to behave and how to treat the opposite gender. And then the woman does her job. So they work simultaneously, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, it's not just a matter of like, people come and say, oh, is it to protect me from rape? No, because women in hijab get raped. So that's not the factor. Even though, like, for
There you
example...
admit it. There we go. It's not to protect
There
you
you
from rape, because men will still rape you if you wear a hijab. There you go. Done. So it doesn't do anything. It does nothing.
Absolutely and completely useless.
All it does is make women at fault. It highlights the fact that the construction of this religion holds women responsible for men's sexuality. And even if a woman in a hijab gets raped, it's still her fault. She must be walking in an enticing way. She's out without a guardian. She's out at a time she shouldn't be. She's standing on a street where men can look at her while she's waiting for someone to pick her up. And, excuse me. And so she's causing fitna by being visible to men. Women get chased away by morality police for being too visible to men who are nearby.
So it even gets worse than that. So even if she were to be raped and then go and say, I'm going to seek legal, protection, legal recourse for this, goes up, tries to appeal to the Sharia courts, they say that you have to have 4 male eyewitnesses that all saw the penetration occur visually with their own eyes. If they do not have this, then you just admitted to adultery, which carries the death penalty.
Yep. And a huge percentage of women in prison are in prison for daring to speak out about having been raped and not having the number of witnesses that are required, which are impossible. Even if you are gang raped on a bus in front of a bus full of people, it is incredibly unlikely that there will be 4 people who will have seen his member and your private area and watch his member go into your private area, because that is what is required. They can't even just see him raping you. They have to see the genitals meet.
Yep. And if not, then you have just admitted to a crime and need to be punished for it. Mm-hmm. So, again, you can't say that this is equal here. You can't say that Islam is promoting women, because it's not. Women are 1/3. I think it was the indemnity. No, women's indemnity is 1/2 that of a man's. Mm-hmm. So just a fraction.
I will point out, and just in complete fairness here, that if a man goes and testifies that he raped a woman, that he'll still be held accountable, right? You don't have to have the 4 witnesses.
Yes,
so
if a man goes and admits
raped, if he testifies that he committed rape, then he's admitting to adultery.
Is he supposed to do that?
If she testifies that she was raped, she's admitting to adultery.
Yeah.
You see, it's completely balanced, completely equal. Whoever testifies is held to that standard.
Except he's even worse, because he's not supposed to confess to something Allah has concealed. So he's in the wrong for doing that.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, he gets extra punishment. See, it's a very feminist religion.
It goes back to like catcalling, being sexually harassed. 90% of women in the Western world have either been sexually harassed or been catcalled, so they can't walk in peace. So, and not only
who is sexually harassing them in London? Who is doing the sexually harassing? Do they look like her, or do they look like him? Who is the one who is sexually harassing?
I mean, you might get it from both sides, but you're certainly getting it from Muslim men too. It's not like this is some
vast majority are going to be
and again, the
white background. Bluntly, the vast majority. Whenever they do the catcalled in New York City, it's not the women who look like, or the men who look like her, who are doing the catcalling in New York City. Even though, like, half the stuff that they're calling catcalling isn't even freaking catcalling, it's just greeting people and being polite. But if you're talking about actual catcalling, yeah, it's the Muslim men who make it impossible for Western women to walk on the streets in many places in Germany, many places in Sweden, many places in Britain. Women cannot walk in peace because of Muslim men.
So according to Ali Dawah, according to Sharia, the solution to this, just like the question of women and sort of insecurities within their body, the solution was to lock the women up and cover them with a tarp, not to encourage them, not to help them with their mental condition, not to help them feel more secure in what they are and who they are. No, it's to cover them up in the tarp and stick them in the house. Mm-hmm. Again, with men catcalling, what's the solution? To correct the men who are catcalling?
No.
To put a tarp over the woman, shove her in the bedroom, shove her in the house, and only let her out for very limited things. That's what the solution is, according to Ali Dawah. So that doesn't seem like a healthy solution to me.
Can you rewind so we can rehear that statement? I didn't quite hear the stat he gave.
Sure.
90.
get raped. So that's not the factor. Even though, like, for example, it goes back to like catcalling, being sexually harassed. 90% of women in the Western world have either been sexually harassed or been catcalled, so they can't walk in peace. So, and not only that, as a man,
So in other words,
Or you
some of
got
that
the or.
90% didn't consider it sexual harassment. Meanwhile, surveys in the Muslim world, somewhere around like 97, 98% of women will say they're sexually harassed.
Yeah. If you actually describe the behaviors, yes.
So yeah, putting a tarp over them and sticking them in the house doesn't work. It doesn't seem to be the solution. Maybe it should be on the men to be corrected. But again, Islam is a religion by men, for their sexual desires. So they will definitely not be correcting that.
as a man myself, I came to Islam 12, 13 years ago. So before that, I was not Muslim, even though I look Muslim. So I used to come and club and party in this very strip every weekend. It was pointless. It was boring. It was the same old thing, And I realized, men tend to fall in love the wrong way. As men, we can fall in love the wrong way. And I wouldn't call it love, I would call it lust. But what happens is when a woman is dressed in an inappropriate way, obviously man he has those desires to be with her. So then he gives her false promises. He's not serious with her. So what the hijab does, the hijab says, okay, cover your adornment, your beauty.
Motel Ali Dawah. So all the rape gangs, the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs who rape his families, they are family groups raping girls, brothers going out together to rape girls as part of their Islamic identity. This is not despite the fact that they're Muslim. This is not apart from the fact that they are Muslim. This is part of their Islamic identity, part of their war against the white girls, raping girls. They're doing it the right way. Because before, when he was sleeping around before, he was doing it the wrong way. But,
he was actually getting their consent.
Identity, now that you have a Muslim identity, you're going to do it the right way because that's what Muslims do. So the Pakistani rape gangs are doing it the right way. And he's doing it the right way when he offers to hire a prostitute or to be a woman's guardian in return for sex. So prostitution, a financial transaction, so the woman can go on Hajj. When he's in a hotel with a woman that he's banging on the side in addition to his wife, this is a man none of the Muslims in Great Britain would marry their daughters to this man. He was desperate for a public wife for the longest time, and he could not get one because no one who was not already exploitable, basically, who wasn't already in the status of side chick, was going to give him the time of day because they knew what an absolute depraved man he was. He was rejected repeatedly by fathers. They're just like, no, you're not getting anywhere near my daughter. So I know what you are. He's like, oh, we do things the right way. Here I am, pious, righteous person. Incredible.
That was like the most pointless story I ever heard in my life. He's like, 12 years ago, I used to walk on this street, and it was pointless because you know why? Men fall in love for the wrong reason. They see a woman and they're attracted to her. So in other words, he's equating desiring someone sexually with love. Hey, he's actually telling on himself, right? He actually has no idea what love is.
Yep.
He's saying that they see a woman and they desire her sexually because, she is wearing normal clothes, or maybe she is even wearing, a provocative outfit. And then they desire her, and then they fall in love for the wrong reasons because they desired her body, because they saw her body and desired it. Whereas in Islam, you see, you don't see their body, you just desire their body and hope that it will be appealing to you. And you fall in love for that reason. But actually seeing it ahead of time, that's what's the wrong reason. But love, in his mind, is sexually desiring a woman.
So according to Ali Dawah, it is wrong for some man to see a woman lightly clothed or not clothed at all and then have desire for that woman. Mm-hmm. That's wrong? Because that's exactly what Muhammad did, right? with his adopted son's wife. He showed up, saw her scantily clothed, and then desired her. And it was Allah who gave him the desire. So according to Ali Dawah here, Allah did something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So now, just for clarification from the Christian standpoint, both acts are wrong. You make false promises.
Well, and
to a
much
woman,
more
that's
importantly,
wrong.
much
Sleeping outside marriage, that's wrong.
right.
But so is
Much
having
more importantly, though,
hotels.
we actually know
Lives.
what love is, right? We actually have a concept of what love is. Our marriage is not just a synonym for sex, where in Islam, it literally is a synonym for the word they use for marriage anyway, is a synonym for sexual intercourse, because that's all it is a contract that legalizes sex. So in Ali's mind, getting married means falling in love in the Western perspective, which must mean being sexually attracted to someone, so you enter into the contract. That's what, in his mind, the two are one and the same. Don't lose sight of that. And he's telling this lady, this is the beauty of Islam. Here in Islam, someone doesn't know what you look like when they decide to buy your body. Whereas in the West, they know what you look like before they decide to buy your body with, false promises and gifts and whatnot.
Well, you can. You actually can, according to Sharia. The prospective husband can check out his purchase before he purchases to make sure he actually wants the purchase.
I mean, honestly, that is actually a mercy to women because, think of the alternative, right? He would just divorce her after a day.
Yeah, divorce, done.
Yeah. So I think that actually is better for women, that the man has the right to, see what she looks like and say, never mind, I changed my mind about that purchase. But of course, the purchase itself is horrific.
There's no reason, even in Islam, to see her entire body. But again, the perverts. That's her only value.
Yep, that's it. Okay, Jack Ray with the $10, so the goat time option. We will get that goat in here shortly, or I will go get the goat shortly. It depends on availability. Yes, but this one's a real one.
I know.
So
that was the preview goat before the real goat.
Preview goat before the real goat. So let's go ahead and hear what he's got to say, and I'll go see about grabbing the goat.
Obviously, law is gaze. If the woman does his job, and then if I'm interested, I go about the right way. Like, for example, when I met my wife, I had to speak to her father.
Which
we
one?
We don't believe in dating. We don't
Which one?
We believe men can take advantage of that. I could just abuse a woman and give her promises. And not only that, you have a daughter. How old is she?
Oh, like promises to take her to Mecca?
Yeah. Yeah, which one? Which husband exactly? Which father exactly?
Yeah. That's the father of his public marriage. I don't think he asked for any father's permission for any of the secret marriages that he's done.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if the woman's a revert, all right, no protection, no father involved.
Yep.
Free game. And by the way, he's telling us what hijab did, right? Without the father's protection, you could just take advantage of a woman. You could just do whatever you want to her. Just like my buddy hijab taught us.
Yep.
So this is what we practice now. We make sure there's no father involved before we express our interest. And if there's no father, then hey, fair game, fair game. It's her fault. It's her own fault for the fact that her father is dead or not involved in her life.
Who else would you blame? And once she's used goods, who cares? Once she gets divorced once, who cares? She's just trash. She's worthless.
Okay. So here we go. Pull the chair. Give me co-host for a little bit.
Do we have a goat?
We got a goat.
All right, then.
We got a goat. Jack Ray, there you go. We got the goat.
Goat stream.
It's now the goat stream. You stay with me.
Ali is not the goat apologist.
Yeah, having experimented, I am now convinced that it was a goat and not a sheep that ate the extra pages.
Oh, I
can't
definitely
really
agree.
see. I can't see a sheep breaking into someone's house to go and get stuff where people are because they're way too skittish, and they're picky eaters too.
No, don't eat the Quran yet. It is sniffing the Quran. I'm not kidding.
Of course it is.
There we go. There we go. Now we got it.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Goat co-host.
Goat co-host for a little bit. Maybe I need to get a goat cam. Take a lesson from Thaddeus. Get a goat cam.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to go grab it. I can just put on the goat cam and she can just pop on in.
Yeah, just put a camera in the goat pen or whatever, and you can just turn it on.
No, you're not allowed up there. You do not need the Quran. Okay? Don't lick me either.
You're gonna get a kiss.
At 19.
She's 19. I mean, you like she said, "Oh, I have a boyfriend." I mean, you would be a bit concerned about, okay, who is he? Because she's a girl.
What's his name?
What's his name?
Oh,
Yes,
she's
I want
just a
to meet him.
What's he do?
So versus the 9-year-old that Ali Dawah would be happy to marry off to a guy, preferably a cousin, of course. You know, got to keep it in the family because then you know who they are.
Mm-hmm. By the way, there is no concept, like truly Islamically speaking, of girl versus woman.
No, there isn't.
Nope.
There's only females who are large enough to bear the weight of a man and females who are not large enough to bear the weight of a man.
And if you get it wrong and go oopsie, then, oh well, you've now absolutely destroyed this girl for life, if she is even still alive. She will walk around for the rest of her life dripping feces. Mm-hmm. Because they did not have fistula repair in the Islamic world for hundreds of years while they were doing this to little girls.
Thousands even.
Yep.
Well, more than 1,000, not 2,000, obviously.
And Jack Ray said she's figuring out what she can eat at my desk. Yes, she's waiting for me to let go for just a split second and grab anything she can. She's now sniffing me, seeing if she can take a bite. She's like, is there grain here? Is this grass? Can I eat it? I'll give it Don't you bite me. You're supposed to be nice. So, to answer the question, it is mocha, to my understanding. Let's want to change it. We can actually change it. What do you guys think? Do a vote in the live chat. Decide what the goat's name actually should be. I think originally it was mocha, but we can change it to whatever we want. Hey, yes. Yes. Quran eating destroyer. That would be my vote. Let's see what else Ali Dawah has to say.
Exactly. And the reason why you have that concern is because you're a Muslim.
Sorry, what was that, Thaddeus?
Oh, just we should name it Hafs. The goat.
My wife says definitely not mocha. Why? I like coffee.
No, she's saying that's not mocha. Mocha's another goat, I think.
Oh. I don't know.
you forgot their names.
Okay, give me concepts from the names then.
I like Hafs because Hafs throws out all those verses. Yeah.
I can always feed Hafs to Hafs.
Yeah, mocha's the other one.
I can feed you some Hafs directly. It could be your main dish.
And your husband would be far more concerned because he's a man. So in Islam says there is no dating outside of marriage. This doesn't mean you can't get to know one another. You can. It's done with a chaperone.
Okay.
Yeah. So like for example, when I was getting to know my wife and married.
You can have a chaperone date, but a date is going out and getting to know one another. So he said there's no dating, but actually there is.
Well, traditionally, there wasn't even that. You weren't even supposed to know the person, traditionally.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, he's equating words with sex. So he thinks that dating someone means having sex with them.
I'm sure he does from other things that he said, is that dating is sex.
I would absolutely agree.
Her dad would either allow her sister or her brother to be there. So if we're going to a restaurant, it's not
going I have a small mention here. It looks more like name for the goat should be Reese's chocolate and peanut butter. No.
Well, Reese's because the goat looks like chocolate and peanut butter mixed together.
We're not doing Reese's. No Reese's. I have an abiding hatred of Reese's, so no Reese's.
I also am not a fan of chocolate and peanut butter together.
I don't mind chocolate. I don't mind peanut butter. I don't like chocolate peanut butter. Just saying. I know I'm going to get a bunch of hate from the chat now. It always confuses my wife because I'll have chocolate and I'll have peanut butter, but I won't have chocolate peanut butter mixed together as a Reese's.
In traditional Islam, no, you don't actually go out and get to know a girl. You don't. You send your father on a hunt to find out which women are available. Then you sent your mom and your sisters out to examine and talk to the girl and get to know her. You don't get to know her until it's at the point where you're about ready to make the decision, and then you have an examination of her, and then you make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to know her. You inspect your prospective purchase.
By the way, it just occurred to me. It's from earlier, but it just occurred to me. So Ali was saying that, men just see a woman and they're attracted to her and they want to. He didn't explicitly say it, but I think he meant that they want to have sex with her. But that's exactly how Muhammad got multiple of his wives, right? They conquered a new town. He saw an attractive woman in the town they just conquered, and he decided to take her as a wife.
Yep. She became his property.
Odd. That somehow,
I cannot think of...
It's not allowed in Islam, even though it was done by Muhammad.
There are basically no women that he got to know first. So, Sauda, I think, was
what do you
was
mean?
there.
He knew Aisha for 6 years before he married her.
As a child. Sauda had recently returned and was just kind of there, but he didn't really know her. It's like, oh, your wife died. We know that you'll just die if you don't have sex with someone within the next 20 days before the end of the month. So how about this woman who is like 35 and doesn't have a husband right now? Why don't you have her? And he's like, yeah, you keep the bed warm. Aisha was a child, so there's nothing to get to know.
Okay. Just as a proof of concept of what Mary was saying, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We're on page.
I think he did.
Go.
He did know Khadijah though, which obviously is before he's
I'm
a
not gonna-
prophet and giving
Give me
himself revelation.
Quran back.
No, he didn't really know Khadijah.
That's what you're eating.
She got to know him through her servants because she hired him. He did a good job, and she chose him as a type of marriage where the woman initiates the marriage and is not paid for. So she is still an independent woman. It is still her money, not his money, and she supports herself. So if she wanted to kick him to the curb for taking another wife, she could have, which is why he didn't take another wife. So...
I mean, regardless, it wouldn't have been his choice, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah, it wasn't even his choice, and she picked him for because he was useful to her, not because she really knew him. She thought that he wouldn't steal from her, and he was useful to her.
And then he became really useful once he got possessed by a demon, and she's like, "Hey, we can milk the people. We can get them to pay us big bucks for your demon possession. I mean, your true prophethood, Muhammad."
And there is plenty of evidence that his supporters were giving him money before he left Mecca. Muhammad was getting money from his supporters because he was whining in the Quran about other people not giving him money and not recognizing him. So
well, I mean that's how it works, right? You're the person who speaks through the quote unquote deity. People come and they pay you money to get their fortune told or whatever. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Oh, the goat.
Give charity to me, and then I decide who gets it.
I like the Aisha name. I don't know. It's between Hafs and Aisha. The very fact that the goat was like, as soon as the page came up close to it, it's like, eat now, is a pretty strong testimony. I'm actually pretty shocked. I need to do some research to make sure the page isn't poisonous to it before I actually let it. the page. I don't want to kill
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
I
it
don't
was
want
happy
to kill
to
the
eat that
goat.
page. It
was
happy
very
to eat
eager.
it. You didn't like put peanut butter on it or anything. It just wanted to eat it.
No, that's weird because I've done tests before where I've wanted to do it, and I was like, man, I gotta make sure the goat's interested enough in this. It's gotta be like interested in some way, shape, or form.
Like,
Well,
I'm very
again,
interested.
I mean, I have seen videos of goats eating paper, and I'm sure that the people didn't put anything on the paper to make the goat want to eat it. So in the right circumstances, a goat will eat paper for sure.
I just want to make sure it's not.
Yeah, because it's got ink and stuff on it. I would say that's a good idea. I'm just
wanna make
saying,
sure it's not gonna
the
kill the
goat
goat.
doesn't necessarily have to be bribed to eat paper. That's all.
Goat can handle it. Let her eat. If I bring her back, I'll let her eat a little bit. Okay? But I'm going to take her out. We're going to do another section from Ali Dawah here. I'm going to take her back out, put her back with her friends.
We sit on the same table. It'll just be there. If we're walking, it's just a bit behind us. And the reason being is because Islam deals with the reality. It's pragmatic. It deals with the reality of the world. It doesn't live in La La Land.
Islam is incompatible with Western.
Well,
This
yes.
is our bigot man, I guess. That was he's correct. Islam is incompatible with Western values. Ali Dawah is actually saying the exact same thing.
Yes,
He's
and he's
actually
saying that he agrees that Islam is that Western ways of doing things, what he considered to be the Western ways, are wrong, and Islam is superior. So is
I
that
know.
bigoted? Well, apparently Ali Dawah is a bigot.
I guess. I mean, I thought that this guy was going to come up and say he was a pedophile or something, but no, he just says Islam is incompatible with Western values. We're 5 minutes, 27 seconds in. I don't know how long the ad was, but let's just say that it was a minute. So he spent 4.5 minutes telling this woman that Islam is incompatible with Western values. A guy walks up, says the same thing, and he's like, "This bigot is ruining our conversation."
What gets me is, okay, so the guy comes up, says, yeah, exactly what Ali Dawah has been saying the entire time, that Islam is not compatible with Western concepts, that Western civilization is bad and Islam is good. This guy comes up and says the opposite, where Islam is bad and it seems like Western civilization, Christian Western civilization is good.
Well,
Which is funny because that was the whole live stream of my life. One of my last live streams was all about how it is incompatible with the West. I saw
So
this,
far, he's
oh.
just said they're incompatible, right? He could say, yeah, it's incompatible because the West is so corrupt and destroyed. I mean, that's what Ollie's saying. I mean, we guess that's probably not what he means, but he hasn't even said Islam's wrong yet. He just says it's incompatible, which is plainly true.
Well, let's see what he's got to say about it.
Christian democracy.
Christian and
you really, this Quran, you're not well.
Why don't we talk about it?
With your misogyny, with your violence.
What violence?
Okay, so
Yeah, put that in there. So what violence? What violence exists? This definitely wouldn't be something that Ali Dawah himself has admitted is violent in Islam.
Yeah, it's definitely not something he's proud of or anything.
What is the
Talk about
argument that Ali Dawah says that why we should follow Islam right now? Because it is intolerant.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it is absolutely intolerant. And here you go with this guy who, how dare he say that Islam is intolerant? How dare he say it? From Ali Dawah.
With your misogyny, with your violence.
What violence?
With what you do.
What violence?
You can't leave Islam.
And
the
what
Quran.
What happened to Edward Snowden?
Simon.
What happened to Edward Snowden?
Excuse me, I'm
what?
speaking.
Oh, sorry, Master. I'm sorry, Master. I'm listening. I'm sorry, Master.
You're the ones who
Please,
are actually exercising modern day slavery.
Please. My friend, you're an ignorant person.
That is. You want to give your insights? Because I think you just got knocked senseless with Ali Dawah's logic there.
So, well, I mean, I was actually just referring to him being so amazingly rude and condescending, but, yes, master, I can't, all the guy said is, let me finish speaking before you respond, right? And he's like, yes, master, which is just like, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that? But regardless of that, all he says, what violence? And then the guy starts saying, you can't leave Islam or you'll be killed. And Ali's like, you're an ignorant man. You know nothing about Islam. The guy who has multiple YouTube videos bragging about the fact that apostates will be killed, celebrating it, saying he'll eat popcorn, and that this is the beauty of Islam, is that apostates are killed. A guy on the street comes up to him and says, I don't approve of Islam because you kill apostates. You're ignorant. You have no idea what you're talking about. What a snake.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's just it's like, God, he's the one who's promoted it, saying it's a great thing. But you see, the issue is this is in public, where it does not line up with what he wants to speak about. He doesn't line up with it. Doesn't line up with this, right? And of course, under Sharia, it's very clear: if someone is of sound mind and of the age of puberty, and voluntarily leaves Islam, they are to be killed. And it describes again that anyone that kills an apostate doesn't need to pay any sort of penance. There's no repercussions for it. Christians and Jews are called to kill apostates from Islam as well. And you know what? I will call upon my most powerful witness in this to give his testimony about it. Oh, wait, it's right here.
This is a part of our religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah? There's a reason why there's a capital punishment. Because people like you, little weaklings, who leave their religion and cause corruption in the land by spreading it, the capital punishment in Islamic law would be applied to you. We have no doubt. And we're proud of that. Yeah? Capital punish will be applied in an Islamic state. Yeah? Not individuals going and doing it themselves like idiots. Yeah? No. Under an emir, it is done, yes. And we, you know what? We'll be watching. We'll be watching. Because if you're going to cause corruption in the land, that's going to cause more damage to the society as a whole. Because the Sharia didn't come to protect an individual's right. Hey, can I drink alcohol? Yeah, sure. Drink alcohol, run someone over, kill them, set all this kind of chaos. No, Islam
That's not allowed anywhere, buddy.
Is greater than you individual.
Yeah, that's not allowed anywhere. Again, okay. So that's him. He is proud of the death penalty.
Right now, chaos is being allowed in all the cities where Muslims are raping women with no repercussions. So he does think that people are allowed to run around and cause corruption and destroy things.
Well, he said drink alcohol, drive drunk, run someone over, and kill them. That's what's allowed. That's what Sharia came to prevent. That's what Sharia came to prevent. Drunk driving, people.
Well, what's funny is that there was no problem at all. There's no problem at all with alcohol for 20 plus years of Islamic history. Mm-hmm. Muhammad was a Muslim, preached about all this stuff, did not preach against alcohol until his uncle called him the slave of his father. That's my father's slave while he was drunk. Then suddenly it wasn't any good because Muhammad heard that Hamza was running around chopping at camels with a sword because he was just drunk out of his mind. Hadn't told him before that not to do that. Just don't show up to prayers drunk. That was it. Mm-hmm. But he's starting to call him names, and then it's a problem.
Yeah. So again, you just see that Ali Dawah flip-flops depending on who the audience is. He knows that this woman would react poorly if, heaven forbid, she were to realize that what this man is saying is 100% true. And that Ali Dawah doesn't only agree with it, he promotes it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, share this one instead. So this is... Go ahead.
Not only the apostate issue, but he directly contradicted what he said to her as well. Because he said to her, right, in Islam, we have the dress code so that you can be an individual. You're not wasting all your time conforming to societal values. In that video, he makes fun of the idea of people having individual rights, having their own personality. He says that it's all about what's best for society, and what's best for society is Sharia.
Yep.
And again, let's go ahead and turn to the Sharia right now. This is in the Reliance of the Traveler PDF, page 613. We are on 08.1, which talks about when a person who has reached puberty and is sane voluntarily apostates from Islam. What are they supposed to do? What's the punishment? What happens? Oh, he deserves to be killed. He deserves to be killed. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He deserves to be killed. And if we go down to 08.4, we see again, there's no indemnity for killing an apostate. Why? Since it is killing someone who deserves to die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this when you actually look at the source and be like, oh, well, you know what, the Muslim scholars, they kind of say that, yeah, this is what Sharia says. So under Sharia, death. What Ali Dawah is doing, he's pushing this on this woman. He's saying that this is the ideal, this is what you want here. And then you have this man coming up and he immediately destroys Ali Dawah's arguments because he knows what it actually is. And there's a reason why he knows what it is, and he gives it at the end. So let's go ahead and continue here with Ali Dawah acting as if he is some sort of slave to this man.
Come educate yourself. You abolish slavery. There you go.
Typical Islamists.
Okay,
you have to talk over.
I won't talk. You talk.
We abolished slavery in this country and in the world. You Islamists, because I lived in the Middle East, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Wait, somewhere.
You actually exercise and still
Me.
employ modern day slavery.
Me.
You burn and you murder apostates from Islam.
I think you're watching. I think you're watching too much horror movies. Oh, there you go. See you go. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk and walk off. It's as you can see, and you can see the difference between somebody who wants to learn and then you've got someone who's ignorant.
So someone who's ignorant.
Exactly. What's the ignorant?
Because he said that Ali Dawah was promoting slavery, that he's promoting the death of apostates. That was the two steps. Now that's after Ali Dawah tried to play the race card, tried to go, oh master, oh yes, master, I'll obey you, as if somehow Europe enslaved enslaved Muslims, which no, Muslims enslaved Europeans. That was kind of the whole point of making the fleet by the second of their rightly guided caliphs, was to go raid Europe for slaves. So that's a bit of an issue there once you actually know the history. So those would be the 2 points that this guy brought up. Is you kill apostates, you can't leave Islam, you kill apostates, and you guys promote slavery and still practice it today. And how does he know this? Oh, he's lived in the Middle East.
Yeah, so he has
lived in
first-hand
Muslim
experience.
nations.
He probably doesn't know the sources, right? Most likely he doesn't know the sources. But it would have been epic if he did, and he stayed. And now he's like, oh, yeah, you're just making this up. Oh, what about? And then gives the source. And then all he would have to admit it.
Yeah.
I think that's why he pulled out when he did. But yeah, according to Reliance Travel, according to Sharia, yeah, slavery is still a thing. Slavery is allowed. And after all, their ideal example to humanity was a slave trader.
So
And
one
here
thing
we
that they
go.
say about how no, it's a state that will execute the apostates. Well, it is primarily, firstly, the responsibility of the state to execute apostates. But if the state fails to execute the apostate, then it is your responsibility to kill an apostate because of the principle. And it's not even that. It's not even that. Not only that there's no consequences, but it's actually your responsibility because Muhammad said that whenever you see a wrong, and for Muhammad, an apostate would be wrong, you're supposed to correct it with your hand, or correct it with your hand if you can, and that means take action. That means kill the apostate yourself. So if or call the authorities to do it. So you take an action that leads to that thing happening. So you call the authorities to take care of the apostate. Failing that, if you have the opportunity, you should kill the apostate with your own hand, and that is a desirable action.
Right here.
So it's not even a
written right in the law, right here.
Yeah, there's no indemnity, so there's no punishment, but it's actually a virtue. It's something you're supposed to do. It is a moral obligation upon you if you can.
Yeah,
which goes beyond.
What I'm saying is even in the video where he's saying that he's proud of it, he's not saying that individuals running around doing this. No, that's not allowed. No, it is allowed. In fact, a step further, it's encouraged.
I mean, this would actually be a different opinion based on the scholar or the school, whether it's allowed. But they all agree there's no penalty, so in effect, it's allowed, right?
Well, it says the issue with doing it yourself, if there is a caliph, it's right above there actually, is that it is the prerogative of the state to kill him first. You can't usurp the right of the state to kill someone. But if the state fails to do
it. And, there is a provision that they're given 3 days to repent or whatever. Yeah. And if you just go and kill someone, you don't know if they've had the time and, stuff like that, right? So for technical reasons, it's best you don't do it yourself. But if you do, oh well, right? That's what they say. Oh well. If you do it yourself, oh well.
But, if you are a knowledgeable person and you know the situation and you know that they are under that penalty, and the state will not act, then it is a good act. I don't think that there is an exception to that, unless you're in a society where you will be punished or your people will be punished. Like if your people will be punished, that's bad. So if you get other Muslims in trouble, or you get yourself in trouble in this society, then that's bad. But
I mean that would apply, right? That would apply to Ali Dawah for sure, right? If he went and killed an apostate,
if he just started going around killing apostates.
But that's the excuse.
Allegedly.
Right. That's the excuse why you shouldn't in that circumstance. Why? Because you'll get in trouble with the law. So then you can't do things with your hand. So you should do something with your tongue, which is to argue for Sharia law so that action can occur.
But if you're talking to someone who wouldn't agree with this, then the greater good is converting them to Islam. So then you should lie and say that we have no death penalty for apostasy. This is just some Islamophobe making up nonsense.
Yes, except for those who can actually look at the source and be like, oh, shoot, no, that's actually what it says. Or watch your own videos from earlier. Mm-hmm. Anyone that's got any sort of actual research ability.
Anyone who lives in the UK, you should figure out where Ali Dawah is doing these things, and you should go up to him and he won't know. He won't know that you're knowledgeable. Be like, can you tell me about what happens to apostates in Islam? And then I would try to give you some nonsense. And then I'm like, oh, that's odd. I seem to remember watching a video from a guy on YouTube that told me the exact opposite. Let me pull it up. Oh, wait, that's you.
Well, it would be better if whoever did it went there just asking, wanting to hear about it. Let Ali Dawah give whatever spiel he wants to give, and then act like you're interested. Yeah, say, okay, so if I join and I decide that I want to leave, and I go ahead and leave Islam, is there any penalty then?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard that there might be. I just actually want to hear if that's actually a true thing or if it's some Islamophobic, garbage, and then go ahead and let Ali Dawah dig himself into the core and then pull up the video. Because then he'll try to wiggle it out by saying, well, you see, it's only if you're spreading mischief in the land, which isn't true. Because then you can pull up the reference I gave, which shows, of course, under Sharia, it's a death penalty. There's no
not believing in
requirement
Allah is making mischief in the land, so you're already
that is true.
Mischief. But he did add that so that he could give him. I'm sure he added that to give himself an out, right?
He gave himself an out. But when it comes to the slavery aspect, we see this now. This is actually 9 is all about jihad. Which guess what? The only reference to war in Sharia is jihad. That's it. There's no separation between holy war and state war. It's all holy war. There's only one option. So, but here's talking about women or children who are taken captive are automatically become slaves by the fact of their capture. So they're automatically slaves. And of course, the woman's previous marriage is immediately annulled. If a man is taken captive, then the caliph's got to decide what's to happen to him. Put him to death, slavery, ransom him, release him without paying anything. It's up to him. Unless he converts to Islam, then you can't kill him. So convert to Islam, you get your life protected.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that they actually translated that portion, the portion on capturing slaves, because there's a whole chapter on slavery in Reliance of the Travel that is on translated.
Oh, they don't want to. The excuse they give is, well, it's not relevant anymore, so therefore we're not going to translate it. And I'm like, in other words, you just don't want to get caught with your pants down. Now, isn't that something?
Mm-hmm. But I don't know how many totals there are. Somewhere around 20, 25-ish total chapters. One whole chapter, like you're in O right now, one whole letter is devoted just to slavery.
Yeah,
so
that's how important it is to Islamic law.
Check out the link I put in there for the future, because this is a Sharia manual specifically for women. And I believe that it still has plenty of stuff about slavery in it. It's from a Sunni source. But don't do it now. Just do it some other time.
I will take a look into that later and save that for later. And maybe that'll be a future live stream. We'll see. But for now, just focusing on the ruling of the elders, the scholars here in Reliance of the Traveler. So whatever Sharia says is what we're actually applying to whatever garbage Ali Dawah is now spewing. So let's see how this now progresses. So share this instead. So we're through. Bigot's already gone away. And we still have 10 minutes left of this video. I'm just saying, if that was the point of the video, you could have ended it shortly after this.
Mm-hmm.
Without adding another 10 minutes onto this. And you could probably cut a lot of her dialogue with you. And just showed that. Now, let's go ahead and take a look. Maybe
Ollie's not going to edit a conversation. Come on, that'd be too much effort.
Yeah, no, of course he is. Of course he is. That's why I knew he's not going to let me speak. He just wants to express himself. He's frustrated. And I don't blame him. He watched too much horror movies.
He's a bit confident having
Yeah.
that much to say, but
So the whole slavery thing comes from horror movies? The execution of apostasy comes from horror movies?
So Islam,
I'm not
Muhammad
a big
is a horror movie. Muhammad
I'm
is
not a big
horror
watcher of horror movies, but
There
I've
we
never
go.
seen one that's based around slavery in my life.
I've never seen a horror movie based on Islam itself.
Yeah. The horror movie, according to Ali Dawah, horror movies are going around telling about Muslims capturing people and putting them into slavery, I guess. That wouldn't be a horror movie. That would just be a documentary.
Yeah.
are you wearing those
No, exactly.
trousers?
Exactly. So to me, look, I don't mind having a conversation.
Of course, they go to immediately attack how he looked with... He was actually nicely dressed. And they go, and he comes out here judging you with those trousers. They look like normal
I have
pants to
no
me.
idea what she's with. But honestly, if anyone is victimized by Muslims, too bad we can't just put signs on the women. I vote for this. I support this. And maybe they actually suffer the consequences instead of other innocent people.
Well, actually, technically speaking, it wasn't Ali who brought it up. Brought up the clothes thing. It was her. But, yeah, obviously
That's
she's
just
now
weird.
going to bash him.
I mean, why? Why would you... Like, you could say that guy was rude, I didn't like him or something, but why would you talk about his clothing? His clothing's totally irrelevant.
Well, that's all they got. Because he brought up... What he brought up was correct.
Well, I mean, she
So-
wouldn't know
Is he
that. I'm sure she
I don't-
doesn't know
yeah.
anything about it. So probably in her mind, right? Probably in her mind, that guy just made up a bunch of nonsense. and thus he's a rude, bigoted loser who's just making up stuff because he hates Muslims. That's probably what's in her mind. But why would she say, instead of just saying that, say he has ugly pants? What?
She could instantly look at him and say, was what he said true?
Yeah,
Or some of
she
the
goes
things
to
that he
defense
said, did Islam ever abolish slavery? Do you condemn slavery? Do you condemn any slave owner?
Mm-hmm. I mean, he would just say yes, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I have
Oh, yeah.
shown videos from the slave markets of Mecca from the 1950s. Hajj was a great time for trading slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Too much horror movies.
It's a bit confident having
Yeah.
that much to say while you're wearing those
No, exactly,
trousers.
exactly. So to me, look, I don't mind having a conversation, but I know he just wanted to talk and walk off.
He just wanted to
Yeah.
be abusive.
Exactly, and that's why that's
And
why
you
there's lovely
just
people
wanted
like
to
you.
sit there like a pathetic demi and just believe anything this brown man told you because it makes you feel like a superior white woman to do so.
He's the same skin tone as her, Mary.
Yeah, but
Give
she
him-
considers him to be, she categorizes him as brown. And also she's really got the bronzer going as well.
Well, it was obvious that Ali Dawah thinks him that way, considering how he tried to play the race card.
Yes, he did.
And that's why I don't judge people. He's talking about you, like as if because you want.
He doesn't judge people, except
doesn't
for
Don't judge people.
everyone
Except
he judged,
immediately
including
jumped. Oh, this bigot man! I don't judge people. Bigot man who just asks questions about things legitimately allowed or required in Islam.
So he says he doesn't.
Well, I mean, he
doesn't
was kind of
judge
rude.
people
I mean,
like that.
He wasn't wrong,
Yeah,
but he was kind of rude. But that's beside the
I
point.
think that it could have been better to handle. I don't think he is versed enough in the actual references for it. I don't know his entire story or what his background is, why he was living there, or what he saw while he was there. That being said, this coming from Ali Dawah saying, "I don't judge people. I don't judge people." What was this whole thing with the Jews in front of the charity? That he literally stood there calling these random Jews baby killers.
Mm-hmm.
That they're nothing but baby killers. They're baby killers.
That's
While
the
they're
one
just
that you
trying
judge
to
him.
go into the nonprofit organization that they worked at.
Mm-hmm.
And he was blocking their path, harassing them.
I mean, but besides that, I mean, so that would be like, kind of judging someone based on a category, bigotry. But he says he's not judging someone, but he's literally saying that as he's passing judgment on the guy that just went by. Like, here's my judgment of this guy, but by the way, I don't judge people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yes, you do, and you just
Like,
did
a
it.
non-judgmental thing would be like, well, maybe he's had a really hard life and he had some bad experiences and those have warped his view or something, right? That would be like a non-judgmental way. Say, I don't know what he's been through. I don't know why he's saying those things. They're true, but for the sake of argument, they're false. The problem's with him. That would be a non-judgmental way of saying it. But instead, it's like, that guy's filled with hatred. He's a bigot. He just hates Muslims. He just wants to come here and insult us. That's judgment. Even if it's true, right? Even if it's true, which we have no idea, but even if it's true, it's still judgment.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I can't judge someone if they're actually bad. If someone's actually bad and I say they're bad, then it's not judgment.
Yes, that would still be a judgment. And guess what? Judgment technically isn't bad. Making a judgment call on something isn't bad. In fact, the Bible tells us to be wise. Be as gentle as doves, but as wise as serpents. Be wise in your judgment. Discern well. One of the gifts of the Spirit is discernment, which is the ability to judge. So, yeah, we are to judge. But Ali Dawah is saying he doesn't judge while he's judging someone.
Oh, you don't know nothing about me.
Let me just, before we go on, let me just say some judgment against that guy. regardless of his intentions, what he actually did was make this woman more sympathetic to what Ali Dawah was saying by the way he handled things. So it actually was really stupid what he did.
What he did was truthful. What he did, nothing he said was incorrect. But he could have handled it much better, much more effectively. But what he did was ended up just playing into Ali Dawah's hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but anyways, yeah, exactly. I'm violent, and
But the fact that you were able to take that and not allow it to penetrate you.
No. Because you know what we do with out of respect, we can't touch opposite gender. But we can do
Oh, there's the opposite. Can't touch the opposite gender because of respect. No, because you can't touch them because according to Islam, no man can. Yep, no man can't do it without wanting to bang the woman immediately.
That is why. It is because of lust. It's not respect. It's because of lust. Muslims assume that any man who touches a woman who is not an immediate relation will immediately be overwhelmed with lust for that woman. And that is why he's not to touch her. It's disrespectful because the lust is assumed.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a comment here saying they missed the gentleman before. Go back, rewatch. He's got good points. He's got effective points. He needs to do research so he could actually pull them up and be a bit more tactful in how he approached.
Yeah, and
this situation.
I'll just say that running by and yelling something at someone is never going to be effective. It's either just going to be ignored or it's going to have the opposite effect. So if you don't want to engage and actually have a conversation, then don't talk to Ali Dawah, right? Or anyone else about anything that you disagree with.
Yeah, that being said, there are situations that Dawahists will not engage you after they realize that you actually know the sources. In that case, may I recommend, since it's a public property, to set up a sign right next to it and start talking about, come learn the truth of Muhammad, learn how he screwed a 9-year-old prepubescent child with the sources actually there. That can be pretty fun. That was interesting. I may have done that with Hajun. So, just saying. And it was very effective.
In the area, yeah. And I'll come to that as well. Yeah. So the thing is, it's like I don't mind having a dialogue. You can come here and say, you know what? I want to know why I do this. Let's have a talk. Let's discussion. But you come here, you're evil, you're a murderer, you're a killer. Okay, that's sad. But anyways,
he literally did that to those Jews, though.
Mm-hmm.
In the previous video that he has up, he literally just went there, started yelling at the Jews about them being child murderer, that they are war criminal. And it's just these random people who just work at this charity who, by all intents, there's no evidence that there is any sort of associate. Go ahead.
All apostates are those who spread corruption in the land and ought to be killed.
Yep.
So don't come up with me with this, I'm this good person. So ridiculous.
The sort of person that your colleague was talking to me about.
Really, was he? Okay, I didn't even know. Okay, yeah.
Is the stigmatization, stereotype.
Yes. And the thing is, they don't even want to educate the ignorance. If you came and said, you know what, look, I've got some misconceptions. Do you guys do this and this?
He is posting this. Every single one of those, every single one of his followers will know that he's a filthy little nasty liar right there. They all know he's a liar. They all know he's lying. And they're like, whoa, how about the deal? Yeah, Ali Dawah, you sure fooled that stupid white woman. You sure fooled that stupid kafir. Maybe she'll convert to Islam and we can hand her around.
Mm-hmm.
They will clap for that, knowing that he is lying. He is lying, that he knows that there's slavery in Islam of women like her. That he knows that there is slavery in Islam and rape slavery too. That he knows that there's the killing of the unbelievers. He knows this.
And as you said, his followers know it. The other guy at the table knows it, but this woman has no idea, and they're proud to lie to her.
And he's posting his lies publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Come to Islam, we're all filthy liars. Yay. Come to the lying religion. Come to deception. Come to the greatest of deceivers. Come to the cave demon, where we lie to get you in and kill you if you want to leave. Come.
And this is why when I saw this, I said we have to do some sort of response to this. Because this garbage is too bad. And it's so obvious. And he's the very fact that he's arrogant enough to think he can get away with it. That he can just boldly lie. And then post it and be like, see? While he still has videos up about him boasting about doing these exact same things.
So, before the end of next year, I should have out, cannot promise it this year, but before the end of next year, I should have out a first grade history program which covers ancient world through the Umayyad period. That will be accurate in many things.
Well, hopefully it'll be accurate in everything. I mean, I hope you're not.
Well, in many things that it has not historically been accurate. Because the reason why this woman is this foolish is because she is sold a load of nonsense in the schools and has been all this time. This ridiculous European white guilt. Oh, the fact that we were more powerful than all the other societies, we should be ashamed of that and ashamed of absolutely everything, and we shouldn't consider ourselves better. This is a reaction to issues that cropped up in World War II whenever people were like, well, obviously we have the stronger society, and it's because we are superior people genetically. That was the overwhelming belief of a lot of people. That was a wrong belief. But this overcorrection, like, no society's better or worse than any others except for us because we're bad, is just ridiculous. And it's so twisted up and so messed up that it's just sickening. It's just sickening.
Well, let's see what other holes Ali Dawah can dig himself.
Holes in the narrative.
Let's talk about it. Yeah. That's what you saw. Even when I wanted to speak, he had this inferiority complex. I'm the lower, and he's like a master. Like,
what? Wait, do you know what inferiority complex means, buddy?
And I'm the lower, he's the master. He's the one that brought that up.
And he's the one with the inferiority complex.
The ones brought that up. Yep.
Like, and Islamic society as a whole has a massive inferiority complex because they are told that they will be superior and that Allah loves them, and yet they're in backwards hellholes. And that's infuriating to them. And it must be because somebody's stolen their cheese.
It was the Jews.
I think that this might give this woman, who might just be kissing his butt, honestly, but it might give the woman something to look up later, to check, to go, I wonder why he said that. I wonder why. Let's look it up.
Yeah, Mary's right. There's a good chance that this woman is just a virtue signaling, like, I'm the good person who will talk to the Muslim, but she's not really interested in anything he has to say in any real way. She's not interested in Islam, certainly. That's certainly a strong possibility. But regardless of what her motive is, he is just spoon-feeding her lie after lie after lie.
Oh yeah, hook, line, and sinker, full-fledged.
Be mindful of is when there is an act of terrorism.
Yeah.
So, 1 second.
An act of terrorism? What?
Well, I think she's going to be the compassionate, like, well, when there's an act of terrorism, you guys get the bad name for it.
Why is it? Because you're the ones being the terrorists.
Yeah.
Ali Dawah supports terrorism. He is an open supporter of terrorism.
Ali Dawah, so in fairness, Ali Dawah deserves criticism for terrorism. But the average Muslim on the street doesn't, because they're not, there's no way you could know whether they're involved or not. They could be involved, but you don't know that. It would be completely unfair just to blame some random person without knowing anything about them.
If they say that Sharia needs to be instated, they are called to participate in jihad.
Terrorism.
Jihad is Sharia is a requirement. There is no
but the average Muslim is very
option
ignorant, right? The average Muslim is very ignorant.
yeah.
They could say, I support Sharia and not know that includes terrorism, right? So I again, Ali Dawah is fair game for criticism, but just some random person, random Muslim, I would not say it's fair to say they support terrorism.
There is an act of terrorism.
Yeah.
Who did it?
Yeah.
Because it's like your colleague was saying, that guy that drove, I think he was ex-Navy or something, the Liverpool.
Yes.
He drove into the crowd.
Oh yeah.
He was a white man.
Yeah, they don't care.
So what? That's all right then, is it?
Exactly. So it's the thing is, it's because the hatred.
What the heck?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. A white guy did an act of terrorism once. Therefore, we should just pretend that all terrorism is caused by white guys?
Just ridiculous.
That's our argument?
Yes, or we can look at the ideologies that inspire the terrorism and say, there seems to be a disproportionate number in this one ideology.
By the
Almost
way,
as if we got rid of this one ideology, it would then get rid of most of this terrorism.
By the way, confirmed Ali Dawah just doesn't know how to use blur, because a woman in an actual mini skirt, leather mini skirt, very sexy outfit walked by and he didn't blur her. So,
well, he was too distracted. He was too distracted to blur. He was watching and it's like, oh, I didn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
He was too busy staring at the cleavage of the woman in front of him while he was blurring it. So.
Yeah.
That would be an act of terrorism.
And not only that, when that happened, the far right jumped on and said, it's a Muslim. Yeah. And the moment they find it, they're like, oh, it's one of ours, it's fine. He can run us over. It's just, as long as the Muslim doesn't run us over.
Yeah, that's totally
it was fine. I want to know who exactly said, oh, it's fine, just run me over.
No one said that. I guarantee literally no one said that. You might have found some nutcases who insisted that was a conspiracy lie, that the guy wasn't a Muslim. That's a possibility. But you definitely didn't say anyone saying it's okay because he was white.
But the reason why he's saying this is that he does believe it's okay if they're Muslim. So he is transferring his own belief on others.
It's crazy. And
doesn't Allah he doesn't like people getting hurt?
No, of course not. To us, Allah, there is a verse in the Quran, and the Quran only has this verse. It says, if you kill one soul, it says if you kill the whole of humanity.
Only the Quran has this verse? Only the Quran has this verse? Why did he say that?
That's a pro-jihad verse about why all Jews should be killed. And he knows that.
Forget that. I'm focused on the blatant lie.
That it came from the Talmud. So it is a quote of the Talmud. And this is an order given to whom? Does this apply to Muslims? Are Muslims told that to kill one soul is to kill all mankind? No. Nope. This was only given to the Jews. And the reason why all the Jews could be killed is because they spread terror they spread corruption in the land, and therefore all the Jews need to be killed. This is a pro-jihadi verse. The statement applied only to the Jews to begin with, and it's construed as justification for killing all the Jews. So he is here quoting again a pro-jihadi verse, as these Dawagandists do.
Mm-hmm. And you know
whenever it's actually saying we need to kill the Jews because they spread corruption in the land.
You know why he prefaced it with only the Quran says? Did he say that about anything else he talked about? No, he didn't. The reason he prefaced it with only the Quran says this is because he knows it's a lie. So he wants to preempt the possibility of someone knowing that it came from somewhere else and saying this is only found in the Quran. He literally didn't say that about anything else in the conversation except for the one thing that definitely is found elsewhere.
And in the Quran itself, it is very clear that this is a quote of something from somewhere else. This was given to the Jews.
I know. Allah says that, right?
Right.
The
So
command
he's
I
calling
gave to
Allah
the Jews
is a
was...
liar. Yeah. You need to do a quick quote. Ali Dawah calls Allah a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Allah says this was previously given to the Jews. Ali Dawah says it's never existed anywhere else but in the Quran.
How much you want to bet he only quotes the first, what, like 20% or so of the verse? It's a long verse.
He's done.
Oh yeah,
He's done.
He's done. He's done. He's not adding anything
not
more
gonna
to
add
that.
anything else.
He's not definitely not going to continue where the command is to the Muslims, because that would just undermine everything.
Humanity. In Islam, categorically, to kill innocent people is forbidden. That's why when you look at what's happening in Israel,
Innocent people,
in
yes,
their
but who's
scripture, he actually
innocent?
tells them
Who's
that you can go.
innocent?
Are any Jews innocent?
No.
No.
Nope.
They're all
Are-
corrupters in land.
You have to be Muslim to be innocent. You have
Is
to be
anyone
Muslim
in
to
the
be
house of war innocent?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Only the people in the House of Islam who are subjected as dhimmis or are Muslims can possibly be innocent.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, this really does show Christians who are out there, who are educated, who know this stuff. This really does highlight the need for us to be out there in order to confront this stuff. Because they are bold-faced lying, they have no honor, they have no dignity, and they are just twisting whatever they can in order to make someone believe that Islam is correct. And then after that, they will just use them accordingly, because if they escape, then, or if they try to leave, well, then you can just kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Wipe out children and babies, and the way they justify that is by saying, "Oh, when these kids grow up, they're going to be terrorists or whatever for that matter." So in Islam, we don't believe there are teachers. We are categorically told that we are not allowed to harm innocent people.
What?
Well, you see, there are multiple pictures from Hamas about training children as terrorists.
Yeah, there are.
What is he even going on about, though? He didn't say that it was about Israel. He didn't say it was about...
No, he's saying that people are slaughtering the innocent Muslims. They're evil, and they slaughter these innocent Muslims, and they want to kill them all because they just think that we'll all grow up to be terrorists.
Mm-hmm. I have... Being in this space, I do see comments from people that I would definitely consider bigoted and hateful, racist if you like. I have never seen anyone say we should kill all Muslim babies because they'll grow up to be terrorists. Like, I've literally never seen anyone in my life say that.
Now, what I have seen a lot of is the videos, is the footage from Hamas saying, look at these young terrorists that we're training up.
The mothers who brag about breeding children to die. Because if your child died, if you breed a child to die, you get to go to Jannah free and you don't have to kill yourself through terrorism. So you make terrorists to save you. Again, I've mentioned over and over and over again that Islam can't deal with sin, has no capacity for it. What they do instead is that they send their children to their deaths to pay for their sin, their own children. We have all these jihadis in the family. We need to have a jihadi every generation.
But they're usually at least 9 years old, Mary, so they count as adults. See, so they're not sending any children into battle.
People. Yes, we have crazy Muslims, we have crazy Christians, we have crazy seculars, we have a crazy, exactly. So the thing is, it's about learning and educating yourself. But coming back to that, like for example, we talked about, you said high five.
Yeah.
The reason why it's my wife, it's not that you're not a Muslim.
Yeah.
For example, that's my friend. My wife is not allowed to shake his hand.
Okay.
So it's not a Muslim, non-Muslim. It's a female, male issue.
Because you're my friend who want to jump my wife if he touches her.
Yep. It's all about sex. It's all about the male sexual desire for women being nothing but lust.
And
That's
a
what it
man,
comes down to.
and I don't want my friend to lust massively over my wife, and the only way to prevent that is to put her in a trash bag and not let her ever touch him. Because otherwise, he is just going to be like, man, I want to get that booty right now, because that's the way he thinks that all men are. Because that is how men have been trained from childhood to be.
Well, go ahead, Dice.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Before we continue, I do have a short video for you guys here about the upcoming Seek and Share Truth conference for those of you who were not with us at the beginning, and then we will recontinue shortly.
Would you like to go to the greatest apologetics conference this country has ever seen?
Have you ever thought about how to share the gospel with culture?
Have you ever wanted to see Islam and Christianity battle intellectually in groundbreaking debates?
Have you ever wondered why Islam is growing so much here in the USA?
Have you ever wondered how anyone lives their life not knowing that the perfect eternal word of God become a man, not just to speak the truth, but to die for them?
Have you ever wanted to know how to move conversations about identity over to the gospel?
How can a sinner be right before a holy God?
Have you ever wondered what God thinks about women?
Have you ever wanted to seek and share truth together better than ever before with like-minded and uniquely gifted brothers and sisters?
Did you realize that Muhammad is actually in the Bible? But it's not what you may think.
Have you heard of the infamous satanic verses? Would you like to hear more? A lot more?
Have you ever wondered why, according to the Quran, Allah is Satan and Jesus is God?
Would you like to understand ways in which you can better convey the sanctity of human life?
Have you ever wondered about why so many people are being attracted to Hebrew Israelism?
Would you like to know why Dawah is crumbling?
Have you ever wanted to hear me sing? Probably not.
Have you ever wanted help doing ministry on YouTube more effectively?
Would you like to master the Islamic dilemma?
Have you ever wanted to see Daniel Hakikachu and David Wood face off as Daniel tries to debunk the Islamic dilemma?
Did you know that the Islamic model of God is not able to explain miracles, but the Trinity not only can, but is the only model of God that does it perfectly?
At this conference, you'll learn how to identify a cult, how to give proper biblical responses, and hopefully win them for Christ by preaching to them the true gospel of Jesus Christ according to biblical revelation. We will also be dealing with atheism and agnosticism and other philosophical worldviews that are in opposition to the biblical faith, which is Christianity.
Whether you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, or none of the above, if you'd like to learn more, we'd love to have you join us at this year's free Seek and Share Truth conference in Ohio and online. If you'd like to support our missions, attending our free conference, outreaches, and/or debates, praying for us, donating to help us cover our speakers' costs, and inviting others to come and do the same helps so much. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website and RSVP for free today. And if you have any questions, know I'm here to help. We hope to see you there. And either way, thank you so much for your consideration. And may God bless you with his guidance always.
So, yep, that is the free Seek and Share Truth conference coming up. The link is pinned at the top of the live chat. And you're saying some people think that L's part is AI? It's not AI.
When David played the video yesterday or Monday, I guess that was Monday, there was several comments in the chat being like, why is the brunette lady using AI to generate?
She just has a
I'm like, it's just a filter, people. It's just a
filter because her baby viciously attacked her. You know, baby scratches. So y'all get baby scratches. You didn't want to have like baby scratches all over her face.
Yeah, so yep, that's what happens with babies. They get the fingernails and they just want to grab their mommy and hold their mommy's face, and they don't know how to do that yet.
Not without maiming you.
Let's just say I have a lot less beard than I once had. Because I also love grabbing beards. But
before you continue the video,
Go ahead.
Before we continue the video, I want to say that in addition to being a liar, it's also really just stupid strategy of Ali to bring this back up. The woman had no problem with him not giving her a high five. Like, she didn't care. But now he's bringing it back up when she was giving him the great opportunity to talk about how peaceful Islam is or whatever nonsense that he could tell her to make her like Islam. Instead, he backs up something that could actually be offensive to her once he explains it. Not very smart guy.
Here's the thing. If it is respectful to not touch a woman's hand, to not shake a woman's hand, how is it disrespectful to shake her hand? That means that he disrespects every woman whose hand he shakes. That if he touches a woman, he is doing it in a perverted way. And that's the only way that he can imagine touching a woman.
Well, in fairness, he may or may not actually be aroused by touching a woman. But his God tells him that he should be, or is afraid that men would be, and thus gives him a rule. So he could just be following the rule, blindly. That's a possibility. But his God thinks that men will be aroused from touching women at least.
Yep.
Why? Because let me tell you why. Because at the end of the day, have you heard of the Me Too movement? The Me Too movement. There was a hashtag Me Too, meaning woman coming out about being sexually harassed.
What?
She doesn't know.
So he thinks that Me Too movement is about shaking hands. No, it's about the kinds of things that the Muslims do all the time in the countries that they come into. It's the thing that Muslims are most associated with in the countries that they arrive in. The spike in sex-based crimes.
I'm going to actually let Ali explain this, because I'm at a loss as to where he's going here exactly.
Yeah, I think
women were speaking up about being raped. This is equivalent to shaking their hand or something.
So Thaddeus, I think you're right. This is a complete and utter stupid move by Ali Dawah. He could have just gone off on the whole, we're just misjudged, we're peaceful, But now he's gone back to this, which, again, I don't know where he's going now, because this is really in dangerous territory for him. He's getting really close to the truth of the matter. And truth to Ali Dawah is like kryptonite to Superman. You can't touch it.
So there'll be a hashtag saying Me Too. I went through that as well. There was this big movement about a couple of years ago. And it all stems from, like, for example, even in the workplace. Sometimes in the workplace, they're talking about what is comfortable. For example, when you're talking to your female work colleague, can you touch her shoulder?
Me Too is
Can you
about.
put your hand on her knee?
That wasn't the Me Too movement at all. The Me Too movement was about sexual assault. That was the primary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wouldn't
It morphed into
necessarily have to
something
get to
different,
the. It wouldn't necessarily have to get to the degree of rape, but it would certainly be more than just feeling uncomfortable because someone made an edgy joke or whatever, right?
Yeah, but that's all he wants to boil it down to is just.
Well, because
feeling
that's what he
uncomfortable.
needs it to be. That's what he needs it to be for his. I don't want to give you a high five to even remotely make any sense.
Now, here's the danger for him, and this could collapse his whole cards with her. All she has to do is find out the truth about Me Too.
Uh-huh.
Now, and that would not be hard for her to run across or try using Ali Dawah's argument here with someone who is actually knowledgeable about the Me Too movement. And then instantly show that Ali Dawah just straight up lied to her.
Ali Dawah's like, oh yeah, women in hijabs get raped all the time. By who?
I know he said that.
Yeah, so he already said that. How about what happens at the Hajj?
Yeah, I was going to say, is he going to talk about mosque Me Too? Which
Well,
is
he also
primarily
got the
about
camel
Hajj,
Me
right?
Too going too, so definitely with the Hajj. It's after all the.
No, there's actually
No,
a
Hajj
movement
is not
called
complete
Mosque Me
without-
Too, but it was primarily about women being abused on the Hajj, despite the name.
Oh, I was talking about the old statement from a couple of historians who were saying that the Hajj to Mecca is not complete unless you copulate with a camel.
Oh, okay.
The camel Me Too.
Did not know that. Did not need to know that. Thank you very much.
Send me those, please.
It's Islam.
Send me those, please.
70. That's in the entire video that I had. I'd have to pull those back up, but yeah, I'll get you that information.
Can you?
Actually, one second here. Did I remove those? I think I did, because I used to have them. Nope, the camel one's gone. So, sorry.
Touch your back.
No worries.
And what we say is in Islam, prevention is better than cure. So we believe that the opposite gender, me towards a female or a female towards a man, vice versa. We have
prevention is the cure. So we put you in a tarp and shove you into the house. That's the way we prevent it.
Yeah, that's the only way. That's the only prevention is that you lock them up, you make them prisoners. And then if something happens to them, it's their own fault because they should know better than to leave the house.
But I mean, that's literally the point of Me Too, is to to make people aware that that they're not the only ones who've been abused, right? That they're not the only ones who's been taken advantage, so that they can speak up. And if enough women speak up, then men won't do it anymore. That's the whole point, is to prevent it. Oh my goodness, what a slimy. Mm-hmm. And if she had known what Me Too was, this wouldn't have worked.
Right.
That's how stupid he is.
Yep. He's relying on her ignorance. He probably would have, if she would have said, yes, I am familiar with it, he probably would have just moved right on. Without batting an eye.
Yeah, to be like, that's why we don't touch.
Something else. Yep, that's why we don't touch. Now moving right along to something else. Dawah. This is the best Dawah has. Lies and deception.
And his audience knows he's lying. That's what's the most impressive. He's a liar. Everyone knows he's lying, and they still are happy with him.
Yep.
Respect each other's space in the sense where even you might think it's just a handshake. We believe that the way we are told that, for example, we keep those barriers clean. Why? Because what happens is things start off very slowly. It can be a simple work colleague that, just putting his hand on your shoulder. You might not feel comfortable. So what Islam does is Islam says instead of going into messy areas, and it gets really messy.
Mixed messages, temptations.
Temptations, yes. So what Islam says is let's do prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Not let me drink one glass of wine and then become an alcoholic, or like gambling at a casino. It destroys so many people's lives. Yeah. So what Islam does is Islam says prevention is better than cure.
No, what Islam does is it tells them that if you touch a woman, you can't touch a woman because if you do, you will degrade her with your lust.
Mm-hmm. You'll become a sex addict. That's
you'll become a sex addict. So you need to think about all the time how sexy women are and how tempting they are and how much sexual attraction you have towards them. And then when you see a woman who is vulnerable, you should jump on her immediately. I mean, that is what it ends up being.
I mean, that's his analogy, right? But his analogy actually reveals how stupid he's being, because he's saying, shaking a woman's hand might cause you to be lustful and become a sex addict, rapist, just like how drinking a glass of wine might make you an alcoholic, which is not true. It is not true at all. There are drugs that you can become addicted to very quickly. Alcohol is not one of them.
No, it's not.
So, Mary, here you go, by the way. Let me see if I can get that to disappear, because it's actually just from the video. It's Robert E. L. Masters. Forbidden Sexual Behavior and Morality. Julian Press, first edition, 1966. Which that's the one that relays that popular Arab say. Go ahead.
And honestly, if you watch the way they talk about their camels and their camel beauty contests and the Botox that they give camels, it's not normal. No. This is not like dog show stuff. No, it is messed up.
So yeah, this is the one that says the pilgrimage to Mecca is not complete without copulating with the camel.
Of course.
Get out of their camels. So that would be for something later on as a reference for you guys. But that was the request. Sorry to put that into your brains, but that is what we're talking about. That is the morality that Ali Dawah is coming from.
No, that's what you're talking about. I was not talking about that.
It's like, I don't want anything to do with this. I plead the fifth.
Exactly.
Don't even go there because it's going to destroy your life. And that's why we see in the Western world so many men addicted to pornography, alcohol, gambling, and this destroys people's lives.
Because
I know family members.
In the Eastern world, men are not massively addicted to the most extreme forms of pornography. No.
Nope.
I'm going to pretend that they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insanity.
Please don't look into that.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor.
By the way, he's not blurring the little girl in the background. The person who should most be blurred, a little girl.
According to him, she's up for grabs.
Oh, I mean, not because of anything sexual, just because if you're going to blur anyone in the video, you should blur children, right?
Well, no. The only reason he blurs people is because he wants to have sex with them if he notices them. But apparently he didn't notice her.
Is that a girl standing next to the little girl? Or would that be a dude?
I think that's a man. I don't know why they're blurring the random man.
The body says that it's a man, and
it's definitely a man. It's definitely a man. I've seen enough of it in other shots.
Yeah, do with what you will with that logic. Just saying.
The gambling has destroyed their life. So what Islam does is it says in every area, be it intimate, like sexual, gambling, you protect yourself and you have to protect the rights of others as well. So we respect that because for someone, they might say, okay, I don't mind the handshake, but I wouldn't prefer someone touching my... So we say, you know what, why don't we just deal with it from the get-go and say nobody touches no one, and we have a nice civilized dialogue. And then the society as a whole will be protected. Because that's one of the aims of Islam, is to protect the communal rights. So we don't believe in an individual saying, I want to drink alcohol. We're saying, look,
if women in hijab are being raped.
Yeah.
Which is what he stated beforehand. So yes, he's defeated.
But his argument earlier was Islam's practical, right? Islam, it doesn't, which is ironic because it's basically saying Islam doesn't care about morality. It cares about what is practical for society. So not a good argument to begin with. But he's saying, because Islam's practical, we say don't touch anyway. That way you don't have to worry about being raped. But he earlier said that women in hijab are raped just like anyone else. He said it's not to prevent rape. He literally said it's not to prevent rape.
Yep.
You wanting to drink alcohol could harm society. You might be drink driving and kill 3 innocent people on the road. That's why you're not allowed to drink alcohol. And not only that, the biggest disease.
Or you might not.
Here's the thing. His idea that alcohol would have anything to do with not killing people. Do you know the rates of death on the roads in Islamic countries? Muslims refuse as a group, not individuals, as a group. Huge percentages of Muslims refuse to wear any kind of seatbelt or anything else because it's always, Allah knows what's best. Inshallah, everything will be fine. It's all fatalism.
There's no seatbelts on camels, Mary. How dare you be Islamophobic and try to put the modern seatbelt on them?
So whenever they were trying to train troops in Afghanistan, the resistance troops, they could not get them to wear any protective clothing because it's slightly uncomfortable and whatever, Allah knows when I'm going to die. The fatalism. So this fatalistic attitude, on the road turns into maniac driving. Road deaths per kilometer are insane in most Islamic countries because of this cultural thing. So if it was for the good of society, you wouldn't have insane numbers of road deaths per kilometer.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to point out, so his whole thing is that, alcohol should be banned because there's a possibility that you could be a drunk driver and drive over people. If that is your concept behind alcohol being banned, How
in
many
cars.
drunk drivers were there in the 6th century?
Uh-huh.
I'm just asking. Because if that's why you're saying this is the whole foundation of it, it's because, we want to make sure that our, community has more rights than the individual, because that's what you really talk about. You're talking about the community having more rights than the individual person, and that overrides the personal rights to be able to make the decision. Yep. And after all, that's what Islam is. It's just a list of rules that you have to follow that don't give way for you to make personal decisions yourself, which is contrary to what the Bible teaches, which the Bible teaches the morality and gives us the ability to make judgments accordingly to what God has given us as guidelines, because God wants to have that relationship with us. And that's the whole point of Jesus dying on the cross, is so that we would have that opportunity to have a relationship with him, to become sons of God, who we can then grow up and mature properly, not be stuck with just a bunch of rules and regulations. So, Mary, you got something?
Very good point. Very good point there, that this can't possibly be the reason why Allah forbid alcohol, or he would have waited until cars were invented, right? But also should outlaw all cars, right? Because you can kill someone with your car when you're not drunk. You don't have to be drunk to get in an accident and kill someone. You might accidentally run over 3 people. That was his number. That's why I said 3. At any time, in any place.
Don't say 3.
So it's
hold on, Mary. Let me finish the thought. And there were no cars in Muhammad's time. So clearly this is an invention of the kuffar to destroy the world. It should be outlawed. Muslims should refuse to drive cars, and they should refuse to live in societies that have cars, because clearly it's about not killing people with your car. That's why Allah gave his commands. So by that logic, they should not have cars.
Yep. So, the rates of traffic accidents in Islamic world as a whole are not fantastic. I mean, we have Saudi Arabia here, a high-income country, and only a few places are in the same category of badness in the world as Saudi Arabia.
It looks like the UK is the lightest possible country there.
It is. It is the lightest possible color.
Oh, wait, they have alcohol.
So is Germany, famous for all of their drinking. Even Italy,
So wait.
Well,
where there's alcohol, so the nations that have alcohol have better driving records than the nations that don't have alcohol, that it's banned.
As a group, on average, yes.
You could make the argument, it'd be a wrong argument to make because that's very ignorant, but you could make the argument that obviously alcohol makes better drivers.
Clearly.
That'd be a stupid argument, but it'd be on the same level as what Ali Dawah was putting out.
Yeah.
No, it'd be better because it'd at least be backed by a stat.
Houston says that Saudi Arabia can't even blame the high rate on women drivers. Their high rate is related to
there was
fact.
also a good point by Marion here. Indirectly, right? She said that you could just lock up everyone if the only aim is to prevent crime, then you could just lock up everyone. But let me put it differently. Almost all crimes are committed by men, especially violent crimes, right? Especially the worst kinds of crime. Most are produced by men. So I think that, if Islam is a practical religion and it's just about maximizing societal benefit and not about, men's rights or something like that, then they should just say that the men have to be locked in their houses all day and the women get to go around and interact with one another. I think that would make the most sense for society's benefit. And it would also prevent men from raping women, right? It would also prevent women from being touched inappropriately. It would accomplish absolutely everything that Ali Dawah says, and additionally would greatly reduce the amount of violent crime.
Absolutely. Now,
but Allah loves men more than he does women, so women get locked up for men's crimes.
True. So my wife here said, wait, but if alcohol is banned, doesn't that harm societies that don't have alcohol-based sanitizers. And I do remember that being a thing definitely during COVID, that Muslims didn't even want to use hand sanitizers because it might have some alcohol in it.
Some, not all Muslims would agree with that. That's definitely a debatable
Some,
point because
yes.
it's obviously not something Muhammad would directly have addressed. So that's obviously
How could he have?
a debatable point.
Bread has alcohol in it. Every bread has
Yep.
alcohol in it. And that's something else.
And as Jack pointed out earlier, Muhammad was known to eat fermented fruit.
That's it's his favorite drink. His favorite
Right.
drink was made of dried fermented fruit. You soak it in the water and you soak it
alcoholic.
for 12 plus hours. So it was alcoholic. So yeah. It just wasn't
was much
super
earlier that
alcoholic,
he
but it was
pointed out, but
alcoholic.
yeah.
So let's see if there's... Man, Ali Dawah just keeps getting stupider in this.
Mm-hmm.
The more he talks, the stupider arguments he is using.
I know. It's amazing, actually. I would say this is borderline miraculous. He says something so incredibly stupid that you think it's impossible that he could say anything dumber. And then he proceeds to say something dumber 5 more times.
Yes, sir.
The biggest killer is heart disease, liver disease, for example, and it's all stemmed to alcohol. So what it does is it harms your body.
It's
it
not.
doesn't.
That's a
disease.
blatant lie. That's a blatant lie. Liver
You can
disease,
have heart
sure.
disease
Heart
without
disease is not
alcohol.
tied to alcohol in any way.
No. In fact, it would be more tied to overeating and obesity, which guess what? Happens during Ramadan.
Yeah, and not just overeating, right, in Ramadan. It's not just so much the food consumption. It's that the pattern of food consumption is extremely hard on the body.
Mm-hmm.
It harms your consciousness because you do. Oh, I was drunk. There's no excuse. Oh, I killed someone, but I was drunk. I'm so sorry, my friend. There is no excuse. So Islam has come to protect us, our mind.
Wait, is it legal to kill someone if your only defense is I was just drunk?
No, it might
Is that
impact
acceptable?
sentencing. It might impact sentencing. Maybe. But it certainly doesn't get you out of the crime.
Just sounds like that was a thing that he was trying to make it into. Because
It makes the crime worse.
my wife says correction, alcoholism does lead to heart disease. It is a contributing factor.
Well, I mean, alcoholism is not the same as just alcohol. I shouldn't have said it's unrelated, but it's not the main cause. I did realize that I probably could be a factor, and I failed to correct myself.
It's really not good for you. Drinking pee. Camel pee is not good for
Camel
you.
pee is not healthy. Don't
not good for
drink
you.
camel pee.
It can
so when he said
expose you
heart
to all
disease,
kinds of pathogens, including an incredibly deadly disease that has a very, very low cure rate for modern diseases. And I can't think of it now, but camels are getting it seasonally and
when he
passing.
said heart disease, I actually thought he was probably going to try to tie it to pork. That's how far ridiculous it was to try to tie it to alcohol. I mean, I'm not saying that alcohol couldn't be a factor, right? There's probably hundreds of factors that could lead to heart disease. But the ones most strongly associated with it are diet and exercise. And genetics,
Well,
of course.
lack of diet and exercise, right? Because I wouldn't say diet and exercise leads to heart disease. Because if it is, then I'm doing the gym all wrong.
Our body, our soul, the rights of others. So what Islam does is it says, listen, we have these boundaries to protect others and protect ourselves. Because when we're talking about how
Rights of
you're
others.
dressed,
You don't have individual rights, but then others have individual rights, but you don't. Very interesting. All right, let's keep going.
heartache is painful. You know, if someone's been in a relationship, heartache is quite painful. So what Islam does, Islam says a woman should be protected and a man's heart should be protected.
Dirtbag!
So if a woman
Cheating dirtbag, you hotel muta adulterous scumbag. We're
So says the
protecting
face
women's
of
heartache whenever we
Mary.
serially cheat on you with random other women because it's allowed. Muhammad himself knew that it hurt women for their husbands to bang other women. He knew it, and he forbade his sons-in-law to do it because he loved his daughters. All other women were trash to him. His wives were trash. Everyone else was trash except for his daughters. Because if you hurt my daughters, you hurt my feelings. I will hurt my wives. I will have every man hurt his wife. Everyone except for my daughters. I know it's harmful. I know it hurts them. But do you know what? I'm for it. Why? Because my penis wants to be inside a whole bunch of women. So I'm going to declare from my cave demon God that he wants me to do this foul thing. And I'm going to tell all the other men whose penises want to be inside a whole bunch of women, they can do it too, just not my sons-in-law, because that will make me sad, because I don't want my daughters crying. I want every other woman to weep because she's trash, because Allah doesn't love her, because it's the man who buys her like used goods at a bazaar.
Mary,
and he's trying to say, it won't hurt the women. Good grief.
You misunderstood. You misunderstood. See, Ali Dawah is saying that loving relationships can lead to heartbreak. So in Islam, we don't have loving relationships. We just have sex for money. We've solved the problem of heartbreak by getting rid of the love component to marriage. That's what his actual argument is. You see, you just jump to conclusions.
It's on his side, yeah. On men's side, men are raised to treat women like property. And poor, stupid girls who are protected from this reality until they're thrown into their first marriage where they're terribly used. And so much of the time. There are some decent men. They are better than their prophet. They are better than their religion. They are better than their society. They are better than their culture. There are men who treat their wives with love and decency and respect because they are 100 times better than their filthy pedo prophet. Not one of those men are good men because of Islam. They are good men only in spite of it. Against Islam, against all the teachings. They have enough tenderness of heart to realize how evil their religion is, even if they don't want to admit it, even if they want to make excuses for it, and to do better. But this is a man who's running around banging other women in hotel rooms.
Yep.
While he's telling this girl, well, not a girl at all, like a 40-something-year-old woman.
It's just
well, you know, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, Mary, because his first wife doesn't love him, and his hotel wife definitely didn't love him, so he's not causing any heartbreak. Or his second hotel wife or his third hotel wife, none of them love him, so it's okay. He's not causing any heartbreak. Islam has removed the love aspect of marriage from the equation. They've solved the problem. Just like they solved the problem of people drinking too much by not allowing you to drink. They solved the problem of heartbreak by not allowing you to love.
Oh, you're correct. MERS, Houston, told me what I had forgotten what it was called. The outbreaks of Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. It is caught seasonally from camels.
Oh,
it's a camel. People
That's
don't
not
really.
good.
Yeah, people don't give it to each
MERS
other.
is horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. People don't really give it to each other much at all. They almost always, like, the vast majority of transmission is camel to human. And one of the ways it's transmitted is drinking their pee.
It's not the only way, though. I mean, you can't say
I know.
someone...
I said one of the ways in which
I know. I was just clarifying for the purpose of the audience, right? Just because someone got MERS doesn't mean they drink camel pee.
Don't drink camel pee. That's simple. Avoid MERS. Don't drink camel pee. Not 100%, but it should be more effective than drinking camel pee. Just saying. Considering camel pee is supposed to be some sort of miracle cure. Doesn't seem too effective. Well.
Certain manner, the man might want to be with her for the wrong reasons. He's not in love with her. He's there for one thing.
Personality.
Exactly. You know, you had about like one night stand and stuff like that. It's like,
what's the wrong reasons? What's wrong in Islam? What's the wrong reasons? According to Muhammad himself, why could you marry a woman?
Whatever you wanted.
But for her beauty, for her wealth, for her religion, for her connections. Those are all reasons. Why would you marry a woman? Because she's ugly? Beauty was a reason. You can marry a woman for her beauty and her virginity. Muhammad preferred little girls who were virgins, and he assumed that a virgin would be a little girl in his ummah during his lifetime.
I fail to see where Ali even thinks he has an argument here. Right? He's saying in Islam we've contractualized marriage because you could marry someone for the wrong reason, and you definitely could. Right? There's many people marry for many different reasons.
What is the wrong reason?
But a contract,
yeah.
Right? A contract doesn't do anything to any of the reasons that a normal, moral Western person would consider wrong, like for money, for example. Most people would consider marrying for money to be a wrong thing to do.
But Muhammad said that that's a correct reason to marry.
Yeah, and I was going to say, making a contract doesn't make that not true.
Marrying someone
and a contract does. Right, a contract does greatly reduce the odds of marrying for love, doesn't it? Because you're just contracting with a father to purchase his daughter. So I'm not even sure what he thinks he's arguing, honestly.
I have no idea because
he's also condemning like one night stands, right? But
that's not marrying.
Yeah. Well, even then, even if you say just the whole muta wife thing.
Yeah.
That would be classified as a one-night stand there.
He banged her multiple times. He banged her up and down the whole time he went to Hajj and came back. He was banging her, and he was banging her till his wife found out.
Yeah, I mean, he probably wouldn't have even divorced her. He probably would have just kept her around for a while. So, I mean, we can't say that he was doing muta, strictly speaking, right? He
was only doing misyar.
Yeah, he's just doing regular misyar.
You're right. Sorry, you're right. Misyar. Although now he's considered the face of muta marriage, which is hilarious in my book, at least.
Mine too.
It's a stranger, and you don't even know that person could be a killer. And not only that, your daughter's 19 years old. She can't defend herself as a grown man. So Islam says no. We protect her in that instance and say, hold on a second. Her father is a guardian. So if I am interested, I have to speak to the father because a man knows a man. If you come and say, oh, hold on a second, my friend, you're going to have to deal with me if you mistreat my daughter. So what Islam does, Islam has these
none of the men would give their daughters to Muhammad in all of the UK. He had to leave the UK to find someone who was willing to give him a daughter because everybody knew what a dirtbag he was. Just thought I'd put that in again.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Ali Dawah had to get an American Somali girl.
And notice his logic here, right? Maybe this woman actually told him earlier in the conversation she had a 19-year-old daughter. I'll assume that for the sake of argument. That because your daughter, who's 19...
Is stupid.
Well, no, is not as physically strong as a man. That's actually what he said, is that she couldn't defend herself against a man. He means if he physically assaulted her, she couldn't throw him off and stop him. Therefore, it's important that a man determines who she marries.
Which is just insane.
But if someone's attacking her, it has nothing to do with marriage anyway. Unless he's saying that's what Muslim men will do to their wives, that they will attack them, that many Muslim men are disgusting, that they'll continually abuse and rape their own wives, and that you need another man who knows that Muslim men are disgusting, perverted individuals who will abuse women to judge whether a particular individual that you might be interested in is one of those disgusting Muslim men. Because there's a lot of them out there. You got to be really careful. That's his argument. That is his argument, is that in Islam, we know that we are disgusting, perverted individuals who will mistreat women. So we need other men who understand that to be the judges over whether someone is being honest and actually is interested in you for the right reasons, quote unquote, right reasons, or not.
You're their cousin, apparently. And your father wants to sell you to him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, wrong reasons. List the bad reasons for marriage and that people actually would want to marry for, and explain how Islam doesn't allow those things.
Well, actually, I know the answer, Mary. Whatever the woman desires. Because her feelings are irrelevant.
Pretty much.
I'd say
but a man can marry a chick because she's rich. A man can marry a chick because she is hot. A man can marry a chick because she is a 9-year-old virgin. That's cool.
Yep, in Islam, the only wrong reason for getting married is love itself. If there's no other benefits.
Yep.
That would be wrong.
Boundaries in place and says her heart has to be protected. Her father is a guardian. And as a man, I'll be honest, if I'm going to mess around with a girl, the last person I'm going to speak to is her father.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a brother. Yeah, or a brother, you know.
Is that... You talking about Muhammad hijab now?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
Which is why your extra secret wives are who? Divorced
Reverts.
women who are marrying themselves and reverts. Because you don't have to speak to a father or a husband as you are banging her in the hotel. But don't worry. If she has been thrown away by one man, she will be considered worthless by her own family. So the standards will drop dramatically after that point, even with her father and brothers. Because after all, that's the kind of girl who is basically whored out by families in certain cultures.
Mm-hmm. But that's actually a good point that you indirectly made there. If this is about protecting the woman, right, because she's too stupid or whatever to judge for herself whether the man she's interested in is good enough, and you got to get a father involved because Muslim men are disgusting perverts and only the father would be able to judge that or not, then why do divorced women not have to get their father involved? Islamically, I mean, right? It's optional. Parental involvement is optional under, I believe, all the schools of jurisprudence if the woman has been previously married. So I guess, according to Ali, the beauty of Islam is that divorced women no longer have any value. They're no longer worthy of being protected. They're fair game for the perverts like himself.
Islam promoting gender equality since I'm still waiting.
He's looking strong. He's gonna beat me up. Yeah, what's your name? Bailey. Nice meeting you. Yeah, I can shake your hand. Your mom's jealous now. So the argument is that Islam has come for us to have...
That was awkward.
That was so creepy.
That poor kid. He does not want to be there. And then Ali Dawah makes him shake his hand.
Poor fatherless kid. Because I know why he's talking to that woman.
I mean, he doesn't know that. And she could be.
Her hands. Bet you there's no ring underneath that blur.
Well, there's no way to say. And Ali Dawah wouldn't know anyway. Right? He wouldn't know.
Yeah, he would. He asked her about her kids. She has a 19-year-old daughter. She has the son. He's asked her about her family already. He knows.
True. Off camera. It's
absolutely, he knows.
He might know. We don't know, though. But I don't think he's necessarily, like, eyeing up the children. I don't think that's fair. I think he's just eyeing her up as a potential convert, right? A potential win. Get his little brownie points. If you convert
a woman, what is the next step?
Oh, find her a partner, right? So then he has a bargaining chip, right? He has a bargaining chip with his buddy. He's not necessarily looking for himself, right? But
I know he's not looking for himself, but he's looking at her like a piece of meat. Another chunk to pass around and hand to his buddies and find somebody who wants a, well, dyed blonde, but a blonde girl. They're so obsessed with blonde girls.
Yep.
Have a relationship with God Almighty. We believe He's one. We don't believe He's a man or a woman. And we believe that if we follow His guidance, we will have contentment and peace in this life. And then in the hereafter, we believe that we've come here for a reason. We live. We have a purpose because everything you can look around you. What's your name, by the way? Lacey, I'm nice to meet Ali. So Lacey, everything you look around you has a purpose. There is not one thing you can show me on this.
Sorry, what was that?
He asked her name twice now. He keeps forgetting it. He asked for just a few seconds ago.
Hey! When you're passing women around, how can you keep track of all their names?
If he can't remember her name, it's highly possible he just made up the 19-year-old thing. He may not have actually asked her about her kids.
No, he did. He said, you have a 19-year-old daughter, right? A long time at the beginning of the conversation. You weren't even here. So she has
He
told him.
mentioned a 19-year-old daughter before I came?
Yes.
So he mentioned it twice
your
then?
19-year-old daughter, your daughter who's 19 years old, he keeps mentioning it. Yeah. So.
Well, in that case, then, yeah, he probably does.
Yeah, he's absolutely.
Interesting that he remembered that she has a 19-year-old daughter, but couldn't remember her name.
That she said just a few seconds ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You can see what's important.
I liked how we believe in a God who's one. He's not a man or a woman. Yeah, he's male. Like, actually male. He has semen. What are you talking about? He looks just like Adam. Just be clear.
But he's male, but he's not a man, Mary.
Yeah. There we go.
Because he's unlike anything in creation.
Because he doesn't have a butthole. He's not a man because he doesn't have a butthole, but otherwise he looks just like Adam.
Yep. Guys, this is what they worship in the end. But he's unlike anything. Except when he is like everything.
He's not like anything in creation, but you can't tell him from Adam. Literally, you can't tell Allah from Adam.
Well, no, the angels,
right?
Couldn't tell the difference.
Who've seen Allah,
different.
right? The angels who've seen Allah can't tell them apart, but somehow all the believers will recognize Allah on the Day of Judgment by his shin.
Yeah, that puts a new spin on the phrase, doesn't know someone from Adam. They really don't know Allah from Adam. But they do know Allah and they know Adam.
Space that doesn't have a purpose. From your earrings, to your clothes, to your trainers, to these books, to this table. Everything has a purpose. You as a human being are more complex. Your eye is more complex in design. You're telling me that everything has a purpose and everything here has a designer, but you have no designer.
Why is he going into an anti-atheist argument?
I have no idea. And it's a really bad one.
I want him to tell her what the purpose is of each human, what the highest position is that a human can obtain in Islam. Please tell her. Because as soon as you tell her that, she will leave.
Yep.
And you know that. Because
Your
it would
purpose
validate
is to
everything
be a slave
the
of
person
Allah.
said.
Well, also, jinn and men and angels were only created to worship Allah. That is their sole purpose. That's what they were created for. So apparently, Allah really sucks as a creator because people are doing a lot of other things other than worshiping Allah. So, and remember, there's no free will. This is not about choice. Allah has determined everything they do. But, yeah.
I agree with Jack Ray. Someone needs to check on the 19-year-old daughter.
Well, I'm sure that this woman probably leaves and he never sees her again. So I wouldn't worry too much about her daughter. But it is odd that he was remembered that throughout the whole conversation, which I didn't realize because I didn't see the start of it. But he forgot her name multiple times. So which one he's more interested in, I think.
Yeah.
Of course you do. You have a creator that created you and he wants a relationship with you. And his relationship with you is acknowledge that I've created you.
Slave!
Your heartbeat.
It's slave! He doesn't want a relationship.
Yeah, acknowledge.
No.
He doesn't want a relationship. He wants you to be a slave. And he doesn't want a relationship. There's nothing personal about the relationship. Stealing from Christians.
I know. Why is he taking a Christian position? That's actually offensive. That's actually offensive to a Muslim position to say that you can have a relationship with Allah, because that means you're, in a sense, a partner to Allah. This is borderline shirk that he's doing here. It's beneath Allah. It's beneath Allah's dignity to have relationship with a human being. He is like throwing his God under the bus in an attempt to get a convert.
Yeah, but he's trying. He knows the Christian perspective works. He knows the relationship works. He recognizes that then, because he thinks it's worthy of stealing. He thinks that would work with her. So he steals that in order to say that, well, we have this relationship with Allah. But Allah doesn't give a crap about you.
Well, you have a slave relationship, you see,
Oh,
so
well,
that's a type
well,
of relationship.
He loves
Only if you're
you
useful.
more than a woman loves her child if you love him first. If you love
very
him
conditional.
Just like a slave master loves the slaves
Yep.
that are obedient and do good labor and produce wealth for him.
Everything here has a designer, but you have no designer. Of course you do. You have a creator that created you, and he wants a relationship with you. And his relationship with you is acknowledge that I've created you. Your heart beats. Do you tell your heart to beat? Hey, listen, don't stop beating. I want to wake up tomorrow. No, your heart beats. When you go sleep, do you tell yourself, hey, don't stop breathing, I might die? These are things that God Almighty has created. You're a whole machine, you know? And what God Almighty is saying is have a relationship with me, because he's the one that provides for you. When you drink water today, water didn't come out of nowhere. Do you get it? The food that you eat, the fact that the sun is a perfect distance from our planet, that we can, you know, it's hot, it was hot today, I'm not going to lie. I came out. Okay.
Why do you keep giving these really bad design arguments? She's in no way indicated that she's an atheist.
She might have, okay.
She's just
I
some
think
random mystical chick.
She's
I'm
been there too
spiritual.
long. She's
Yeah.
been
Run
there
out of
too
material.
long. Ali Dawah has run out of his original material. Now he has to switch to another line of Dawah
It's really embarrassing.
script in order for, and it just doesn't fit. This is so alien to anything that this conversation's been, because it's not authentic. It isn't.
Yeah.
I'm about to go for a jog here.
Oh, look, he's even trying to get himself out of the conversation.
Yeah.
I need to go for a jog here.
Okay, hold on. I didn't hear that part.
Water didn't come out of nowhere. Do you get it? The food that you eat, the fact that the sun is a perfect distance from our planet, that we can, you know, it's hot, it was hot today, I'm not going to lie. I came out to go for a jog here. Bro, it's 30 degrees. It was really hot. So the sun is a perfect distance that if it was any closer, we'd burn.
Okay, so he came out for a jog. What do you mean he came out for a jog? Was he coming?
He's saying that whenever I came out earlier to jog, it was really hot.
Earlier in the day.
So he's bragging about how he's an athletic, sexy man here, just to be clear. Suitable for
He's undermining his own argument, actually, right? Because he said the sun's the perfect distance from the earth. And then he says, but it's really hot today. It wasn't the perfect distance today. I'm just bringing this up for no reason. I have no clue how to make a coherent argument. Please listen to me.
Nope, ran out of his Dawah script, and now he's got to scramble for another one, and it is just alien. And you can look at her face. She's lost. What the heck's going on?
What is this guy on about?
Rescue me! His arguments are so bad. They're even worse. Muhammad Hijab uses more technical terminology, but he articulates it terribly as well. And he can't even do the terminology, and he articulates it absolutely horrifically. It's just embarrassing. Like, if I were on the fence between theism and atheism, he would make me an atheist. I'd be like, oh my gosh, theists are so stupid.
Oh, you know that atheists like to go around and say how much smarter they are than theists and whatnot?
Yeah.
I recommend that every atheist watch Ali Dawah's channel. You'll feel much better about yourself. You'll be very confident in your atheism. You're like, yeah, man, those theists are just so stupid. I thought maybe they were smart. I was doubting my beliefs, but now I've seen Ali Dawah, and he has 1.3 million subscribers. Clearly, theists are morons if they're watching this guy.
Yes, this is Ali Dawah's improv. It's got nothing. He's the one who decided to release this as a standalone video from a live stream.
This is his best conversation of the day. This is his best conversation of the day.
This was his highlight. This is his best. Yep, you're right. This is his best. He wanted to highlight this. It was obviously not about this bigoted man, because the bigoted man was done like 6 minutes into the video.
He was on screen like 15 seconds, 30 max.
Yep. And then that's it. You could have just done a short with it and been done with it. But no.
If it was any further away, we'll freeze. So those things, if you think about it, the planet Earth is actually serving us. So we say God Almighty created us. And even like, I cut myself a long time ago. What tells my organisms in my body to say, he's bleeding?
Organisms?
Blood clot. Stop. Heal. Who's telling? Like, I don't tell my, like, I had a scar here. I think, can you still see it? Yeah.
Who tells the organisms in my body to heal my cut? I didn't tell them. My organisms, the creatures in his body that heal his wounds.
Oh,
It's the jinn
I'm
in his body
dying.
that heals his wounds, okay? You can't deny those jinn.
The planet serves
Save
us.
me.
We're the god of this planet. It serves us.
Go jump in a lake with an alligator and try that argument. I don't think it will end well.
This planet serves me, Mr. Alligator.
You serve me as well. Well, you're getting served for dinner, that's for sure.
You have a purpose, Mr. Alligator. Your purpose is to serve me. Allah has set it up that way.
Yeah, the alligator's going to serve you up for dinner. Absolutely.
So painful. I'm just like writhing here in internal pain at how stupid this man is. It's so bad.
I had a scar here. What tells my body and the white cells in my body to say he's bleeding? When you have a heart attack, a specific hormone is released in your body. It's like, who's telling these beings inside me that are microscopic to help me survive?
Okay. I was going to be charitable in my mind. He just misspoke with the organisms thing. He doesn't. He just doubled down on the stupidity.
He really
My heart
thinks
is its
that
own
Allah,
being.
Yeah, he really thinks that Allah, because remember, Islam has what's called accidentalism. So from one moment to the next, Allah recreates the world. So he really does think that Allah is individually directing every activity for the purpose of healing things, right? Or sending out hormones or whatever. He really does think this. Mm-hmm. He doesn't think that this is... He's not arguing from a watchmaker's perspective. He's not arguing from the complexity. He's arguing from the idea that every moment is being recreated and Allah is directly causing each thing to happen. That's what he is arguing from, which is wild.
Notice what his statement was: who tells my heart that it's beating? Or who tells the rest of my body that my heart's beating?
Yeah, Allah.
Your body doesn't need to know the heart is beating, right? It's essentially a machine, right?
He did say that she was a machine, right? He did say that as part of his beginning.
But his idea of machinery is that Allah is recreating it every moment. Mm-hmm. If I drop a cup, I am not allowed to say that the cup falls as a result of gravity in Islamic thought. I must say that it is Allah's will that the cup travel downward from one moment to the next.
So to make this relevant to what he's actually talking about, my heart beating has nothing to do with the blood circulating through my body, yes?
Correct.
That would be correct.
Everything that happens, there's no cause that is not Allah. It's just all Allah.
And to say otherwise would be a form of apostasy.
So making it actually a machine. So let's say I have a simple machine, a crank that turns a couple gears and then it does something. So you're telling me that me turning the crank has nothing to do with the gears turning, yes?
Allah has determined the positions of the gears and the hand on the crank, but he could will otherwise. He could will that that you turn it and nothing happens. It just so happens that at this moment he's willing it that it does.
And so I can predict Allah's will.
Well, you shouldn't. Shame on you for thinking that you can. You should be astonished.
But I mean, I can predict that this is going to fall when I drop it.
Shame on you for daring to do that. Shame on you, Thaddeus. That's not allowed. There is a reason that Christianity created the scientific revolution. This idea is not intrinsic to humanity as a whole. That there are laws, a mind, a pattern, the greater that is followed, that comes from God himself and his orderliness and goodness. No, that is not not an idea that most other religions can even grasp, much less Islam. That's why his argument is so absurd.
Well, it's so absurd because he has no clue what he's talking about. I mean, organisms inside your body, beings causing your... alerting your body parts that your heart is beating because beings are doing it.
So, real
occasionalism.
quick here.
Sorry, I said accidentalism. I meant occasionalism.
So right here, to believe that things in themselves or by their own nature have any causal influence independent of the will of Allah. This is what it causes you to become an apostate, is if you believe this.
Look,
to believe this.
I don't see the whole list, but the two it's in between are revile the religion of Islam and deny the existence of angels or jinn. So it's on the same level. Saying that, there's physical laws is on the same level as reviling the religion of Islam or denying the existence of angels.
Deny to hold that any of Allah's messengers or prophets are liars, or deny their being sent. There's talk about it would be on the same level as denying any part of the Quran. That's what it puts it as. It's a whole long list of just different things. And then at the end, this is what gets me. So we get all the way to the end of the list of things that could cause you to apostatize. And, then, and this isn't just someone writing this down. This is the Islamic scholars that they tell us to go talk to all the time.
The list is nearly limitless. There's nearly a limitless number of ways you can apostatize.
Yep.
They don't even list all of it in Sharia.
Take a look at the Oxford Handbook of Islamic Theology. This chapter on occasionalism charts the development of the theory of occasionalism within the Islamic tradition. Occasionalism emphasizes Allah's absolute power by negating natural causality. If you can bring that up, it should be shared.
Do you have... Oh, good.
Oh, nope, wrong one. All right, I don't know why I did that. Let me switch over. Again, sorry about that. I don't know why whenever I dragged it away, it decided that it didn't want to. There it is. Okay, here it is. Why did you decide to... There we go.
Okay, so ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Occasionalism emphasizes Allah's absolute power by negating natural causality. So,
yep.
Thaddeus, turn the crank. It does not cause the cogs to turn. That is wrong. And attributing every causal effect in the world immediately to Allah. So, yeah. Exactly what I said.
Okay,
in this thinking,
I mean, it's incoherent if you take it seriously, right? Because it means you couldn't actually determine anything. You couldn't...
Yeah, scientific method means nothing.
Well, forget science. I'm just talking about your daily life. Like, you decide you need to go to the grocery store. Well, you can't figure out how to get there, right? You have no idea how to get there.
You can consider it a blessing of Allah that He allows you to work through essentially spells. Everything is basically a magic spell that Allah has given for you to achieve a desired effect. But Allah does everything in between. Allah does it all. But you have this spell thing that gives you access to that, basically.
So you got to affirm the words, right? I mean, from a practical standpoint, you have to believe that you can predict.
Well,
things, right?
what you believe
but
is
you
that...
affirm the words that Allah determines everything, and it's only in His mercy that you're able to predict what He's determined.
Well, it's not just in His mercy. It's like a magic spell. So much of Islam is magic. It's white magic.
But I'm not a Muslim. I don't say any magic spells, and I can still determine things.
No, you're always doing magic. Everybody's doing magic. Everything's magic in Islam. So whether or not you know it or not, you have fitra and you have magic. You are doing, just like you can work magic on people by blowing on knots and you can curse them, right? Mm-hmm. You also, by turning the crank, work the magic spell that Allah causes these other things to happen, but it's all to Allah.
So when I want to go to the grocery store,
Uh-huh.
I do some magic that determines that I get to my intended destination.
Yes.
I guess my form of sorcery would be called GPS and maps.
Yes. It's all magic. You're accessing God through magic. It's a kind of manipulation or request of God, but he could also just choose to not follow the not honor the magic, but he generally does. In the same way that you can cast evil spells on people, he honors that magic too. He's going to honor most magic. So yeah.
So I just came up with a very important observation.
Uh-huh.
The fact that Mecca is not on any ancient map is proof that it was Islamic. You see, because everyone who was going there, they just did their little magic to get there. They didn't need to look at a map. They had greater faith than looking at a map. That's why Mecca isn't found on the map, but other cities are, because, the Kuffar were going to the other cities. But
well,
only
nobody
Muslims
else
were going to
yeah.
Mecca.
Well, there's also the fact that nobody actually used maps for navigation as well. But, sure. Well, we'll just go with that.
It's not a serious argument, Mary. You don't have to.
I know. But...
Okay, well, let's see what else. Because as this video has progressed,
I've laughed too much. My side hurts.
It's become more and more entertaining. When I picked this video, I watched maybe the first few minutes here. I got up to the guy who came over, and I was like, okay, we got to deal with this. I didn't even get to the best parts yet. The best parts are over here.
All right, let's get it. We'll finish it.
We believe the one that created us, and we're saying let's have a relationship with him, like Bailey.
What's that relationship?
Bailey, like you're his mother. Yeah. He should be grateful to you. He should be respectful to you. This is another issue that we have in the Western world.
Hearing this.
Yeah, Bailey, I'm on your case, Bailey. To us in Islam, it's a major sin to be disobedient to your mom and father. Allah in the Quran says, don't even say oof to your mom.
Well, that's because your mommy and daddy can kill you.
Yeah.
Without any reason, according
you're
to
their property.
Islamic law.
Again.
And we already covered that when I showed you guys that in Sharia, which it said that a father or mother or grandparents can kill their kids or grandkids without any sort of recourse.
Yep.
Islam is a very practical religion.
You own them. They're your property until you sell your daughters to be the prostitutes of another man.
No, Mary. See, Islam is a very practical religion because it's so offensive for a child to say something mean to their parent. Islam provides a provision to prevent that from happening, i.e., you can kill your children. Therefore, if you are seeing that happen, you just kill them, and then it doesn't happen anymore, and Allah's not offended. It's a very practical religion. Not that kind of kid.
See, at least that one makes sense. But being a kinslayer, legalizing kinslaying, yeah.
I mean, almost all. And it's so funny. They're like, don't bury the daughter. But if she's older and she lips off to you, chop her head off. So don't bury the infant. Wait for her to be lippy and then kill her. And it's fine.
By the way, Ollie remembered the name of the boy.
He did.
Oh, fantastic.
But not the mother who's he's talking to.
So Jack Ray gifted one membership here, which means that is a spin on the wheel. So we'll do that before we get back to this comedy show, which is Ali Dawah. Should rename this thing the best comedy sketch for quite some time. Party horns. Let me see if I can find those. They're awesome to prop up those. There we go. Still have one left in the bag. There we go.
Do the rest of the live stream if that you're in your mouth.
Okay. We'll give it a shot. We'll see.
No.
Get it all right. There we go. Gotta get it right.
Like, you know, when your mom comes and says, take the bin out. Oh, mom.
Yeah, yeah.
But these are things we try to, like, you get it. We all have that shortcoming. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But Islam deals with the rights of mother and father greatly. That's why the Prophet Muhammad, a man came to him and he asked him, he said, who has more rights, my mother or my father? He says, your mother. He says, who next? He said, then your mother. He said, who next? He said, then your mother. He said, who next? He said, then your father. Why? Because we acknowledge that
Because Muhammad was a
looked after when he was
moron.
in your...
And Muhammad also never knew his father.
Yeah.
So he had weird
had no
hang-ups
respect
about
for father.
moms and hated men and hated fathers, rather. Hated fathers as from the child's perspective, hated fathers. From a parent's perspective, wanted to own them. So, weird conflict.
Well, considering that his first wife was the age of his mother.
No, she actually wasn't all that old. She was only about 28 in reality. Because she had a whole bunch of kids after they were married. They just lied to make her older, to make it seem like Muhammad didn't marry her out of lust. He just married all these other women out of lust, but not the first one. As if marrying her for her money, which is actually why he married her, would be so much better. So, it's crazy. Yeah, she had like at least 5 kids, probably 6 after marrying him. So she was only 28, as some of the traditions say. And he was probably 21 and not 25, though. So there was a gap.
I still like the depiction of him running to his wife as if she's his mommy. So I don't know. It makes it look even worse, in my opinion.
He'd do that anyway because he was all messed up. His first sexual encounters that were consensual were probably with the slave girl who basically raised him, aka his mom's substitute. So, Amen was almost certainly his first woman was Amen. And he wrongly thought her oldest son was his.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Islam. Been sexually confused for the last 1,400 years. And still counting.
Boom. You gave birth to him. Now imagine he grows up, which he is. The young man, how old is he? 16? Huh? Oh, you look, I told you. So 13 years old. Imagine he grows up and says, Mom, you've done nothing for me. I'm going to go and thank David over there. It's that relationship. So God Almighty says, I'm the one that sustains and looks after you. Have that relation, be gratitude, be grateful to me. It's, you've done everything for him. The last thing you want for him is to turn his back on you and say, I don't know you. So we just say to have that relationship. But anyways, I don't want to go on a lecture, but...
That's not a relationship.
I love how he's quoting multiple references here, multiple Quranic passages, all supporting this relationship you're supposed to have with Allah that's as intimate as a son to, let's say,
No. Listen to his words carefully. That's what he wants her to maybe interpret as, but that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is, just like your son owes you, you owe Allah. Right? Allah provided for you. You owe Allah. That's what he wants, is you to give him his respect. There's nothing about love in this. He's calling it a relationship. He's describing it in terms of parents, but that's not what he's actually describing.
That's true.
So he's playing a game, right? He's using words that she's going to hear in a certain way based on being a member of a Christianized society. But he's not technically lying because he is actually describing a slave relationship.
Yeah, but slavery is bad according to him because Islam definitely doesn't support slavery at all. Because it's just ignorance to say that Islam supports slavery.
Yeah, well, he's not going to tell her that it's a slave relationship. He's not stupid. Well, he is stupid. But
yeah, well, we've watched it go bad, man.
Yeah, I sorry about that. I don't know what entered my head there. That was a dumb moment. He definitely is stupid. But he's not going to... He knows his game well enough. Let's put it that way. He knows his game well enough not to use the word slave. But he is describing a slave relationship.
If there's any questions you have, I'm here. Yeah, we're here every Friday, Sunday. If you have any questions for me, Yeah, you can come. You ask
Every
my
Friday,
questions.
Sunday.
You want to carry on, I can carry on. It's totally up to you.
Sunday.
No, I love
Why,
it.
why are
Yeah.
you there on Sunday,
Yeah.
Mr. Ali Dawah? Why are you there on Sunday? Why are you not at Speaker's Corner anymore?
Reasons.
And as soon as enough people figure out that he's here on Sundays, he's going to be somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. He'll pack up and leave.
He's terrified. He's run from Speaker's Corner. Muhammad Hijab has run from Speaker's Corner. They got tired of people coming and asking him about muta, mishar, abuse, blackmail. They don't want to face the questions. So they go and hide in new places where they're doing dawah properly, right? They're doing dawah properly. You go to where there's ignorant people. As soon as you become too well known in an area and your lies don't work anymore, then you move to a new area.
Wait, is he? My main question is why is he allowed to do this? Because I thought that you were only allowed to speak like this at Speaker's Corner in the UK.
Yeah, well, so there's like special protections for Speaker's Corner, but obviously you can speak to someone in general, and he might like actually have like permission of the shop owner that he's standing in front, so it might technically be private property.
That'd be true. I just remember the woman getting arrested for praying quietly in their head.
Yeah, well, she didn't actually. There was not actually any justification for that. The police were total. Well, was it like a volunteer police person and? So she wasn't legitimately arrested, but yes, she was definitely arrested.
No, under the current law,
she was arrested.
She was under the current law. She was charged.
No, she wasn't charged. No.
Here, let me look sometime.
Because she had a court case.
Now, maybe the only reason it didn't go anywhere is because it became a public thing. That's a possibility, but it definitely didn't go anywhere, right? But also, the person who was supposedly a volunteer police officer was not disciplined either. So,
okay, well, let's go ahead and finish this off. He doesn't have much longer on here. So let's see if this gets any better or if it's just, come next time. I keep waiting for
I think that she's just saying goodbye. You can probably just play the rest. Yeah. I want to interrupt it. You can just play the rest.
I keep waiting for him to say, bring your daughter next time. That's what I'm waiting for him to say.
Chat with
Yeah.
your colleague.
Yeah, Sam.
I
Yeah.
want to say thank you.
Yeah, Sam, I just want to say thank you to you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you for talking to us and not being ignorant like that, man.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of excitement.
Yeah, it was.
You handled it perfectly.
No, thank you very much. Thank you.
Integrity.
Yes.
Dignity.
Yes.
He had none.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bailey, after your mom. Yes. Okay. Don't forget. If he doesn't behave, come here. Yeah. Thank you. Take care.
That girl who he didn't blur was a Muslim girl, even.
Yeah.
Like the clown just doesn't even know. He either doesn't know or doesn't care to bother doing blur properly. He's just doing it for show. Because if you're gonna that girl was probably like 12-ish. She definitely should have been blurred from an Islamic perspective.
She would definitely, according to Ali Dawah's own words, absolutely. According to his own testimony,
she was even a Muslim
absolutely.
on top of it, because she was with her, fully covered mother.
So, real quick here, Jack Ray sent a super chat of $2. Said, Allah, ha, ha.
A-I-La.
Okay. Ha, I see. You see? You see correctly, at least. So go ahead and spin again. Switch hats. Oh, good. I actually had this one, pulled this one out of storage just for this. Well, actually for a live stream ago, but didn't end up happening. So now I'll finish off the stream in this hat, unless something else happens, which could possibly happen. We'll see.
So just to clarify, Adam Smith Connor, a man, was convicted of praying within an abortion clinic buffer zone.
Okay, well that wasn't who I was referring to.
And in the UK, they have since suffered such backlash that they have reinterpreted their law to say that, oh wait, as long as you're praying silently and as long
I mean,
as
in
no
fairness,
one can see, even then it was, you could be guilty for praying inside your own home if it was within the buffer zone before. And so they have modified it. But it is to protect the religion of the state, which is that of Moloch, to sacrifice children. So this is one of the ways to sacrifice children.
We've lost you, Mary.
Whoops, am I still
Yeah,
here?
you broke up there for a bit.
Oh, am I back?
You broke up for a bit and then came back.
Oh, okay, so this is because the state religion is the worship of Moloch, and one of the ways in which they sacrifice children to Moloch and protect it is through special protections for abortion clinics, because one cannot interfere with the state religion. And the rape gangs are another part of the state religion.
Well, I mean, that's not really true, but I agree the law is horrific and everything. I just want to get the details of the case correct. And I did, and they've modified the law in part because of the backlash, but probably also because they didn't really intend you praying in your own home would count as, what they didn't want is people standing outside the abortion clinic and potentially deterring people from getting an abortion, which I mean, it's still equally horrific. I'm just saying they probably did not intend to arrest people for praying silently out
They
of
convicted
sight.
them. They convicted Adam Smith Connor. He was convicted.
But I'm sure he was standing in front of it, right?
Yeah, he was standing in front of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the clarification that if you're not interfering with the path, walking path or whatever, right, was probably always the intent, and it was just so poorly worded. But I mean,
again,
regardless,
the intent was always what? The protection of the state religion of baby slaughter.
But someone praying out of sight isn't in any way inhibiting someone from getting an abortion, right? So, again, it's horrific. The law is horrific. I'm just saying that it was only intended to be anyone trying to dissuade someone from an abortion in any way.
Well, in conclusion, what do you guys have to say about the actual video that we have reviewed? What are your thoughts on that just as we wrap it up?
I think I need to sue Ali Dawah. I'm going to have some surgery to repair my split side from all the laughter.
It was pretty bad. Definitely at the end, that was so bad.
He was self-destructed. I don't know how long he was actually talking to this woman. You guys watched the start. Did she walk up while you was on, or was she already talking?
Nope. This is it. As far as this clip goes, it was already
okay,
going.
So we don't know how long she was talking to
We don't know.
It could have been on a while, but from what we saw, after 15 minutes or so, he just totally ran out of things to say and found a way to end the conversation because he was flailing so bad without her challenging him in any way, mind you. Imagine how bad he'd be flailing if she was actually challenging him. He just ran out of material. She's just silently listening to everything he has to say. Sometimes helping, right? Sometimes helping him out. And therefore, he's like, oh, I don't know what else to say. Just go away already. But come back anytime to have all your questions answered.
As long as you're only here for as long as my Dawah script lasts. Because as soon as that runs out, I got nothing.
Yeah, so next time she'll come. I mean, she probably will never come back, but she'll come back and she'll ask him, oh, I read that you actually do have a death penalty against apostates. And he'll be like, oh, I found you out. You were just faking it the whole time. You Islamophobe. Get out of here. Because that's what he did in another conversation I saw. Once the guy revealed that he actually knew about Islam, he immediately threw him out, said, go away. As soon as the guy revealed that he actually knew something about Islam and he couldn't be lied to, he's like, oh, you were fooling me the whole time, you disgusting individual. How dare you come in with false pretenses? Get away from me.
And let me be clear.
Complaining about someone having false pretenses is too much after watching that. After watching that catastrophe. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do really quickly want to read the letter that was sent to Scottish residents about prayer in their houses. because you're saying that this was an accident, this is an oopsie. No. Dear resident, your area will soon be situated within a designated safe access zone for a local baby murder facility. Oh, wait, I changed that. Where baby murder services are provided. You may not notice any changes, but this letter will explain what it means for you and your neighbors. So, this means that you, yourself, in your house, you are not allowed to intentionally or recklessly do anything that would influence someone's decision to access, provide, or facilitate the provision of baby murder, prevent or intercede or impede another person from accessing baby murder, cause intentional alarm or distress to another person relating to the decision to access those facilities. And the person who authored this letter said that if you pray in a way that might be visible through a window, if someone is passing by and sees you praying, then you could be guilty of this. The author of this letter, who is a member of parliament, stated this.
But the letter agreed with me, Mary. It said that the law was about trying to prevent people or inhibit people or dissuade people from having abortions.
Because if they see you praying through a window, doing any prayer, they might feel that they might not want to kill their baby as much. That is what is being said. Prayer that is visible through a window at home could be a crime depending on who is passing by the window. So if someone's passing by your window, sees you praying, thinks that you might be praying about abortion, you are guilty of this because it might make them feel guilty about murdering their child. That is what the MP said who authored the law. People were arrested, were convicted, and it only changed after the backlash. So this is not an oopsie. This is if you are going to pray, you would better make sure that absolutely no one can see you in your house, because someone who wants to murder their kid might feel guilty about murdering their kid if they see a person pray.
I mean,
it's bad.
Of course it's bad. I'm not defending the law in any way. I don't know why you're going off on me so hard.
You're saying that it's accidental. No, it's not. It's saying that if they can see you at all inside your house praying, someone who wants to kill their baby might possibly no longer feel like they're as satisfied with killing their baby, and therefore
that's what
being
someone
visible
said,
praying makes you guilty.
That's what someone said. That doesn't mean that's what everyone said. He told you what the law says, and then he gave his opinion about what the law means.
This is the member of parliament who was tasked with authoring the letter that was sent to the residents. This wasn't a random person.
In his own district, right? But that doesn't mean that's what everyone who passed the law thought. I don't even know why we're having this discussion. We agree that the law is horrific and terrible. It's just the law isn't targeting prayer specifically. The law is just trying to support abortion in the maximum way possible. It's not. It was not, inclusive. We're trying to outlaw prayer. They're not trying to outlaw prayer. They're trying to say abortion's the best thing in the world, and anyone who would try to stop that is a monster. Like I said, it's horrific. I don't know why we're having this discussion. I don't know why you're pushing back.
We'll just agree to disagree because it
I don't know why we're even disagreeing about it.
Like that was part of the intent from the beginning, and people were convicted on it, not accidentally, not oopsie, not one person misinterpreted it. In various districts, prosecutors stood up and interpreted the law for juries to convict these people. So it wasn't one guy. That was a normative understanding of the law up until the point where J.D. Vance slapped down the UK. And they're like, oh, we didn't actually say that. We didn't mean that. You're just interpreting it this way. All we wanted to do was this. No, it wasn't.
Anyway.
So, what do you guys have coming up? Thaddeus, do you want to go ahead and give us what you have coming up?
Yeah, so I've been working on a video about Ali Dawah, so that'll be out soon.
I thought it'd be funny.
Mm-hmm. And, nothing today dissuaded me from my very vicious attack on Ali Dawah. Let's put it that way. Guy's a snake. He's incredibly stupid. He undermines his own cause constantly, but at heart, he's a snake. Right? He's not effective. He's not good at it. He probably never converts anyone, honestly. I doubt he ever converts anyone. But his intent is evil, even if he isn't effective at it. So anyway, that's not what the video is about, though. The video is about his hotel wife situation, and that will be out shortly. We'll have a stream on Friday. I don't know why I said Thursday. On Friday with Mary, most likely. Every once in a while things change, but that is the plan. And I'll let Mary talk about what she wants to talk about on that stream. A couple other streams and stuff coming up. More material on Aisha. Be on the lookout for. Lots and lots going on for me.
And I am hoping.
Fantastic.
I'm hoping to stream on the penis prophets, as I call them. One way that you know a false prophet is that they suddenly start prophesying about all the things their penis can do that nobody else's penis can do, and that previously he said that penises shouldn't do. And so I'm going to compare Joseph Smith and Muhammad.
That might be quite a long list.
It is! A lot of women to talk about. So
where's that going to be?
Oh, that'll be on Thaddeus' channel. I don't prepare anything for my channel. That's
So if you guys want to go check that out, make sure to go over and subscribe to Reasoned Answers so you get all this fantastic content that is coming up very soon. The link is in the description of this video, so you can go check it out and subscribe if you're not. So thank you guys so much. We'll be back on Saturday talking about Jesus in Islam. Fact or fiction. We'll see how much of it's fiction, how much of it's fact. Mm-hmm. There might be slightly one side way outweighing the other. Here's a guy called Jesus. Well, we'll see how much they actually get right. So thank you guys so much for joining us again. Thank you to the members who have stuck it out. We will give them their due shortly. But as always, Dias Volt.
If I were to bring reasonable evidence that the Prophet Muhammad, that he was a true prophet, would you be willing to become a Muslim?
How about no? I don't buy your Allah. I don't buy your Allah. No. I don't buy your Allah. I don't buy you. No.
I don't like your Allah. I don't like your Allah. I don't like your Allah. I don't like your Allah.
No.
I like Tim Hortons way better.
No.
Chugging gallons of maple syrup.
No.
I like Tim Hortons way better,
No.
Chugging gallons of maple syrup.
No. How about no? I don't buy your Allah. I don't buy your Allah. No. I don't buy your Allah. I don't buy you. No.